Masters of the Universe. I am Adam, Prince of Eternia and defender of the secrets of Castle Greyskull. This is Cringer, my fearless friend. Fabulous secret powers were revealed to me the day I held aloft my magic sword and said, "By the power of Greyskull!" Cringer became the mighty Battle Cat, and I became He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. Only 3 others share this secret. Our friends, the Sorceress, Man-at-Arms, and Orko. Together we defend Castle Greyskull from the evil forces of Skeletor.
Welcome to the Invasion of the Remake podcast. I'm your host, Jason Bishop, and with me today, the She-Ra to my He-Man.
Oh, nice.
Trish Coughlin.
Hey, everybody.
And also with me today, the Orko to my He-Man, Jeff McNair.
Holy burn.
Hey, Orko is very valuable.
Hey, man.
I feel like the early days of the podcast, I was really burning Trish a lot, so it's your turn.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I do a good enough job on the podcast myself. I don't need any help.
Maybe that's why you're just the special kid we didn't want to make fun of.
Helmet special. No offense to anybody who wears helmets.
That's right. And, of course, we've got a special guest with us today. It's Reid Fisher, who is a comic book artist as well as a special effects makeup artist for film and television. Welcome to the show, Reid.
Oi.
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 Grunt.
The Beast Man to my He-Man.
Something.
So we are talking Masters of the Universe from 1987, and this sounds a bit familiar. We talked a little bit about this during our Cyborg episode. This was the nail in the coffin for Canon Films.
Yay!
Yes.
Yes, one of the 2 contributing factors to their bankruptcy, and the other being...
Superman 4.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, a quest for a paycheck.
But you can't say with these 2, they didn't fucking go out swinging.
That's true.
They tried.
They did. I mean, this movie was budgeted at $22 million, and that's $7 million over its initial budget. Unfortunately, it only grossed $17.3 million. So, math-wise, oops. If you actually would have stuck with your initial budget, you would have at least broken even.
And that's $22 million, like $1987.
Yeah, and
well, the reality is they didn't even pay for the movie, so
yeah, and
it was practically free.
Cyborg basically happened because they couldn't pay the licensing fees on He-Man anymore because that script was supposed to be Masters of the Universe 2. Mm-hmm. The Cyborg.
Well, it was like we talked about this before, but extremely adapted into.
Yeah,
they had built sets.
Honestly,
for Masters.
Given the script I was hearing for Masters of the Universe 2 and just the idea of Canon doing Spider-Man, I'm so happy for the bankruptcy.
Sometimes life just works out.
I forgot that they were going to do that. They were talking about doing Spider-Man, and I remember that. And yeah, I'm very much glad that they didn't get that. And Marvel was really releasing a lot of crap at the time, anyway. I mean. You know, you wanted Daredevil, you were getting the Incredible Hulk TV show, or you wanted...
Trial of the Incredible Hulk?
I remember that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it wasn't...
With
it was
Thor.
the made-for-TV, second made-for-TV movie, I think. Is what
it was the second one, yeah.
Because they did Thor first one. But, I mean, that's what you were getting, and then when we were teenagers, we got the Roger Corman Fantastic Four that none of us ever got to saw until we were like 20 and saw it on bootlegs or whatever it was.
Yeah, which was
so
awesome.
I mean, we were getting some pretty shoddy stuff out of Marvel, so I'm kind of glad that wasn't our first...
Spider-Man.
You know, well, I guess didn't they have a 70s? They had a 70s TV show. There's some live action.
There's some Spanish Spider-Man live actions, I think.
There's a Spanish one. No, they had an American one, and but he had a utility belt, and his web shooters were on the outside of his wrists as well.
Nice,
right? And he actually had a cool mask though. They had eyes that were white, and and they had lenses in them, but it was like very primitive, basically, compared to what we're doing now. But I can't remember if there was a full out TV show or just made for TV movies. But they used to have those on Sci-Fi when I was a teenager. I was watching them. They have all these old Marvel, you know what I mean? Like, so you have your Incredible Hulk. afternoon with Spider-Man and fuck whatever. I know they had a fucking Doctor Strange as well too.
That was a TV movie. Yeah,
they did that too.
With his porno stash.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
he still has a porno stash.
And then of course there's the
Hey guys,
unofficial Doctor
there, at one
Strange
point
movie.
a porno
Yeah.
stash was just a regular stash.
I hate mustaches. I'm sorry. I don't know. Our generation can't wear them flat out. Okay, every time I see someone with a mustache from our generation, just looks off. But it's okay if your uncle has it. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like it just looks dumb. So I've tried. It's like, oh, I'll just do the stash. Like I'll shave just to see, and it's a porn stash. It's bad. It's brutal. It's just like, yep, we're not doing that.
Now, when I watch a movie like Master of the Universe, I think, well, we needed stuff like this to get where we are now, to get Avengers, to get,
Absolutely.
it really is a superhero movie, and it's. I mean,
Basically.
in its weird way,
in this
trying to
weird
be.
way, like even the cartoon was, He-Man's a superhero in his world. It's Kirby New Gods meets Conan, right?
Yeah.
Very, very Kirby-esque.
In fact, they really wanted to dedicate this movie to Jack Kirby at the end. Of course, the studio took it out of the film, so that didn't actually
know.
happen.
Well, it's because Golan and Globus love each other, not other people. So
Yeah.
nobody's name gets on the credits ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we're talking Master of the Universe 1987. This was directed by Gary Goddard, and if that name sounds familiar, he did, I guess the biggest thing he did was Tarzan the Ape Man from 1981, which was a pretty good film.
Oh
You're talking
yeah,
about
I
not
forgot about that one.
Supergirl.
Did he do Supergirl?
He sure did.
Okay, hold on. Which
Did he
Tarzan
direct
are we talking
Supergirl?
about?
That does explain
you know
a lot.
what? He might have wrote Supergirl.
No, David Odell wrote Supergirl, who wrote this movie. He also wrote the
That's who it is.
lots of episodes of The Muppet Show and Dark Crystal from 1982.
That's a wicked
So
movie.
that's
The Dark Crystal is great.
David Odell was the Supergirl connection.
What Tarzan? Not the Lambert one, is it?
No,
No,
Lambert
that's
was
before
like
that.
later than that.
That was like 86.
It was around Master. It was
right?
86, 87. It was
No,
around
he
this
did the
time.
Bo Derek one.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a Bo Derek
Okay, Bo
one.
Derek.
You know, I've never actually seen that one. That's one I actually want to watch, and I haven't seen it.
It's
So-
a good movie.
I can make that happen. I have it on DVD.
Do you?
I love
Shoot that over
Tarzan.
me. Oh,
I love that change. Usually it's like, I have it on Laserdisc. That's
Yeah.
usually
Okay, this one time. Okay, so you know what I was thinking was not directing. He directed Master of the Universe, but he created, Gary Goddard created two other mainstays in our childhood. He was a creator for Captain Power,
really?
yeah, and
Yep.
Skeleton Warriors.
So, your brother's all big on Captain Power.
And Skeleton Warriors.
I never got into Skeleton Warriors, and
I have one figure in my basement.
I had one figurine from Captain
Skeleton
Power, which was the
Warriors.
silver dude, because you had your gold
Sauron.
dude, which is and then you had your silver guy, which is the second in command or whatever.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see
And
what
then
you're
I
saying,
think
yeah.
they had a broad, and then your bad guy. I think I had the bad guy at one point. In
I watched the
at some
television
point.
show, but I
I
never had
got
any of
into
the
it.
figs.
We had the ships as kids,
Yeah.
for Captain Power, and you could shoot at the screen and these like little light up
Yeah,
things.
yeah, because it had a
And-
handle on it too, and you'd fly.
Yep. And
you know.
it would like reflect back, and you would score points if you got. It worked on the same technology, I think, as the light guns for the original
laser
Nintendo.
tag or whatever.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
yeah.
that too.
Yeah, but yeah, my brother's a huge fan of Captain Power,
Huge.
so I thought that was interesting. Like, because you can see like Masters of the Universe. Captain Power is just they eliminate the magic side of Masters of the Universe, and that's Captain Power. It's all science and ridiculous, and
Yeah.
you like Tank has fucking trench
Well,
the
it's
feet and
obviously
stuff,
right up his alley. Then,
Yeah,
basically.
and then the same as Skeleton Warriors was it went the other way. It was like
All magic,
more
no
magic, and a
science.
little less tech stuff. And that show is like they had the coolest toys, right? Which one do you have? The Oraculon guy with the multiple arms?
for the
Skeleton
multiple arm.
yeah, that was like the
multiple arm
coolest
one.
shit. When I had that, and they all had like all gold chains and stuff. They were like the highest end figures because you look
Yeah.
at like He-Man.
They were
Yeah.
really high end figures for their day. Yeah,
Yeah.
When guys
I-
like McFarlane were just kicking up.
I think they came out too late for me. I mean, well, even for you. I mean, really. I mean, we were
Skeleton
already
Warriors?
Make
I think
this
we were like
movie.
13 or something
Yeah,
when those
I
came out
don't
finally,
recall
didn't
these
they?
at all.
Like,
Yeah.
those are.
And
93 or
Skeleton
94.
Warriors
Yeah, so I
was
mean, like,
far from a
I was
hit
all
toy.
Yeah.
He-Man figurines, Superpower collection, and Ghostbusters. I mean, like that was like, if you got
Ghostbusters.
those, that was fucking it, right?
I think Skeleton Warriors was like too dark.
Yeah, I
And
think it was.
parents were like,
it had
no.
an animated
Well, didn't they
series,
do
but it was
Playmates
a
did Skeleton
one
Warriors,
Yeah.
season
right?
show.
So
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's brutal
Yeah, I
to
can
watch.
see.
the
I
house
can
that
see how
Turtles
some
built.
parents would be like, "Oh, Skeleton Warriors." They just freaked out by the title.
Yeah, lots
My-
of small pieces and things like that.
But it was funny then because you had either the parents that like were like, "Yep, go ahead, it doesn't matter, they just got you whatever," or you had the parents kind of like mine where it's like, "Nope, there's monsters in it, you can't watch that." So you had to go over to your buddy's house to watch horror movies and
Yeah.
whatnot. So thanks Marty for that.
All right, let's bring it back to
My
Master
parents
of
were the
Universe.
permissive ones, but I'd never heard of Skeleton Warriors.
Yeah, well,
Again,
like
it
I
was
said,
too late for us.
Yeah,
like I said,
it
I
was-
knew of them.
it was
because of
around
like
too
YTV or whatever the fuck it was, but we were already
Yeah.
like 13.
It had early
14 at the time.
computer generation. In
I
it.
was too old for Skeleton Warriors, but I really like the figs. And I don't think I ever watched the cartoon, but it was a one-season show. It just didn't take off. So
Yeah.
And if the show doesn't take off to sell the toys, and the toys aren't selling, well, that's it for that. So yeah. But Master of the Universe was a huge success in
Yes.
animation. Film, not so much. This film stars Dolph Lundgren in his first lead role after Rocky.
Yeah.
So, he to this day says this is probably the worst role he's ever done. He also could barely speak English at this
Yeah,
time.
like
so,
I think
you
he
know.
was basically phonetically learning his lines.
Yeah, I
he had an
think he
idea of what
looks
they meant.
He
good
Bela
here.
Lugosi'd it.
Honestly, he acts about just as well as most of the people in this movie that do speak English.
Oh my god,
So-
yeah.
With the
Except-
Except Frank Langella.
Frank Langella was on a whole other level in this movie, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But Frank Langella is Skeletor. He was doing Shakespeare or
Actually,
something.
Billy Barty.
Like- and
Billy Barty.
Billy
was
Barty's
pretty
good in everything, though. I mean, it's
Yeah.
Billy Barty, right? But every time I hear Billy Barty, I'm always like, anything you throw them at turns to stone from Willow. So he's the old wizard.
That's it.
And that's what I think of Billy Barty every time.
like
I don't
Yeah.
think of Gwildor. I always think of the old wizard from
Well, Billy Barty
from Willy-
essentially
from,
just
Willow.
plays himself dressed up
Yeah.
in some crazy
Yeah.
makeup or whatever movie he's in.
Yeah, and they stole that makeup as a cast-off from the movie Legend.
Oh yeah.
Is it really?
I don't know, but he's straight up one of those trolls. From
Oh,
He
yeah.
might as well be, yeah.
Yeah,
Actually,
wow.
the way his ears were moving, and I'm like, that's all right. That looks okay.
Yeah, the production
Yeah.
on this movie was great.
Yeah, so Meg Foster is Evil Lynn, and initially it was that chick from Superman 1 and 2, or Superman
Oh
2.
yeah, she played the villain.
Yeah,
Um,
she
Oh,
they
yeah,
wanted
yeah.
her to do
Yeah.
it, and I totally agree. That would have been my first choice back in the 80s as well, but she just didn't want to do it. And then Meg Foster turns up with those glassy eyes, and she comes with
She did
comes
a
with
great
her
job
own
as
special
Evil Lynn.
effects.
And it's
Yeah.
funny, she was already
She's
pushing
stunning.
like 50 at the
You
time.
know, anybody who
Really?
thinks
Yeah,
those,
you look at her now, man, she's
she's
aged.
She's aged, but she's
But she's
still
like
doing pretty
70
good,
something.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like she doesn't.
you
look
look at
70.
know.
She
Really?
She looks like 105.
Okay, I haven't seen that.
Anybody who's watched this movie or any movie with Meg Foster thinks she's wearing contacts, whatever. Those
No,
are her
those are her
natural
eyes,
eyes.
man.
Those
I know.
are crazy eyes.
Yeah.
and they do the
So-
Xena thing and just layer it in black makeup to really bring them out.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
they
yeah.
totally
Yes.
widen those eyes. They got the right makeup around those
And they're
eyes,
just-
and they're very like piercing ice blue.
Although at the
wonderful
very
eyes.
beginning, though, it was kind of, I noticed because I was watching it, it's sort of that dark makeup sometimes is like too much because they're such a light blue. I was like going, they just look like just plain white eyes. They freaked me out at the very beginning. Like they just should have just held back a little bit with the eye makeup in some points.
Now, Dolph Lundgren wasn't the first person in this movie to have a first feature in a movie. This was also Courteney Cox's debut
It was.
in
Yeah.
a feature
Yeah.
film. And she plays Julie Winston. And Robert Duncan McNeill, if anybody really remembers that.
Yeah.
He was,
mostly a
Tom,
TV actor.
Tom Paris in Voyager, and
Yeah.
he's now mostly a director, and he's directing a lot of television.
He was
but
Kevin.
yeah, he was
He was the
Kevin,
boyfriend.
and that's Tom Paris.
Actually, I met him a
barely
couple years ago in
recognized him.
Winnipeg.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he saw the Star Wars because I do the Star Trek zombie ones. He's like, "Do you got Voyager?" And I was like, "I wasn't even close to thinking about doing Voyager." I was like, no." And he's like, "All right." So he got my card and he fucked off, and like as if he was gonna, it's like, if I'll do it if someone commissions it, then I'll just do some prints or
Exactly.
whatever. He never called or whatever, but yeah, he was a nice guy though.
he never
Yeah.
calls, he never writes.
Never calls, never writes.
And
Bullshit.
dude with the coolest name ever, and he sounds like a He-Man action figure all in himself.
Yes.
John Cypher, who plays Man-at-Arms.
Yeah.
And we also got Chelsea Field as Tila, and you might maybe recognize her from Last Boy Scout and Commando.
Boy Scout.
And James Tolkan, who...
Wait, in Commando?
Man, she would have been like the
She-
daughter.
Oh no, she wasn't even the daughter. She was like some
Yeah.
stewardess on the plane.
Oh.
Yeah,
She's some
and she
bullshit.
plays
Yeah.
Willis's wife in last Boy Scout.
Yeah.
And she ends up banging his buddy or his boss or whatever the fuck it was at the beginning of the movie. But they all get back together anyway because, he's so like he's more than willing to let that go and let bygones be bygones because he's such a good guy.
Now, James Tolkan as Detective Lubeck, the whole time I kept thinking he was going to...
Back to the future.
Yes, Marty.
Slackers everywhere.
I was thinking he was just going to call He-Man and everybody else slackers the whole movie.
Just like hippies.
Yeah.
He's the same character in this movie.
Yeah.
Christina Pickles
But he knows
as
that character.
the sorceress. Now, anybody know
yes.
the connection between...
I do.
All right, Trish. She's got
played
her hand up.
she was Monica's mom on Friends.
And there you
Courtney
go.
Cox's mom on
There's
Friends.
the connection.
She is.
And
too.
she also, Christina
fucking hated
Pickles,
Friends.
plays
Love Friends.
Courtney Cox's character's mom in the scenes where like her dead mom shows up.
Sorry, say that again?
The sorceress
Yeah.
in the Masters Universe movie,
Yeah.
that lady, Christina Pickles, she plays Courtney Cox's mom in Masters of the Universe as well as in Friends.
Does that mean that...
Really? I
that
thought
she's
that
from
was a separate
Eternia?
actress.
She's actually secretly Tila, and Tila is just some scrub they found.
okay.
Tony Carroll was Beastman, Pons Mar was Sorod, and Anthony De Longis was Blade, and also the fight choreographer for this film.
And
that would
also
make a
Skeletor.
lot of sense.
Yeah. And, because we're comic book geeks, me, Jeff, and Reid here, we're all comic book geeks. Now, the production designer was...
William Stout! Woo!
And who else contributed to designs for this film?
Oh, it was Ralph McQuarrie, wasn't it?
McQuarrie would have probably done a lot of paintings, didn't he?
Okay, McQuarrie, yes. Also, Mobius.
Really, Mobius?
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
if you guys-
I could see that.
caught
I
him-
could see that.
I caught him in the credits, and I'm like,
Yeah,
whoa.
I could
didn't
see
know
that.
Was
Looking
he-
at the matte paintings, I can very much see some Mobius in there.
I thought so, too.
And definitely
Yeah.
Ralph McQuarrie. I mean, at the time, he was like, if you wanted matte paintings or
I don't think
designs
they.
and shit,
I don't
he
think
was,
they used much of McQuarrie because he did some costume design work,
Did he?
but they hired William Stout,
Yeah.
who did everything. Like William Stout's done so much stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Men in Black. He did the creature designs for that. He did.
Yeah.
Well, we did for Naked 8 Productions way back. We did a big interview with him.
Yeah, you might be able to check it out on Naked 8. I guess it's Naked8.tv coming up. He's still
Working
moving
on it.
all that stuff over to Naked 8 TV. So
Yeah, but anyways,
but go to
Caesar-
naked8.com.
Oh,
You can
he
probably
also
catch
did
it right
the production design for the Tobe Hooper Invaders from Mars. Remember that movie?
I've never actually seen that.
Oh my god,
Wow.
guys!
There's someone I met, though. I met Toby Hooper.
now. Okay, and one other geek out moment: the movie posters. Reid, do you
That
know?
would be Drew Struzan did the posters for Masters.
That is correct. Along with Gene Mascia, which I think were some of the European ones, but everybody knows Drew Struzan. So
Yeah.
Massive.
yeah,
massive
and it
man.
is a great poster.
Even if you don't know
It
him,
is a good
that
poster.
you loved, he did it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's just
That's-
it. That poster
actually,
you love,
I-
that was him.
I got a Drew Struzan. I got a few Drew Struzan books, but there's one in the or no, this was the documentary. Sorry, and I have that somewhere too. But Thomas Jane, and he holds up the fucking Masters poster, and he's like, "See this movie? I'm still waiting to see this movie." Because like the poster is so epic, right? And yeah, I mean that's I'm waiting to see that movie too. Like that movie looks fucking wicked, and then of course
Then we got what we got.
we got what we got. Now when you're 10, it's fucking great.
Yeah.
Okay.
I still enjoy this movie.
I think it was
watched
7 or 8
Saturday
when it
morning.
came out, right? What was 87,
we'd have
88?
been
87.
By the time it hit, I would have watched it home video, so 89.
Yeah. So that being said,
I
when
saw it
you're
in the theater.
when you're
Really?
a kid at that age, it's fucking awesome. It is phenomenal. It's just like, oh, this is awesome. I get to see He-Man in live action. Then you try and watch it at my age, which is now going on to 36 here, and yeah, it doesn't hold up so well.
no,
I found
There's still some magic in it, but at the same time, you're just like, I think I see Billy Barty's lips between Gwildor's mask there, and you can now when you see it on DVD, which is why I hate this high definition shit. It's like when you watch Batman, he's in the alley and he's fighting. It's like that's not Keaton at all.
Yeah.
Like you guys can't
Yeah.
even like do shots of Keaton in between, and they didn't. It's this other dude, this stunt guy, and it's just like So now when you see all this really high def shit,
You know what? And
it
I
really
was,
takes away the magic.
I was considering that when I was going to watch this to do this podcast. So, Masters Universe is available on Netflix in high definition.
Yeah.
So I could have streamed it in high definition.
Yeah.
And I didn't. I went into my pile of tapes and I pulled out my beat up VHS tape, signed by William Stout, mind you.
Nice.
And watched it that way because I thought, you know what? It's going to need that grain. And it was great, dude. It had a fucking tracking line along the bottom the whole time.
Oh, Jesus,
but
memories.
It just, like, it was all flickery and horrible, and the tape's super old, and it was like, and my wife is like, why is the picture so shitty? I'm like, it's VHS.
Yep.
But you're right. It needs that grainy.
Some
But we
movies do.
discussed this on this podcast, where we're like going, sometimes some of these practical effects that they've done in the past, they look
just
better.
don't hold up.
They don't hold up in HD, but
Yeah,
like
you
if you
don't
have
mind
that bit
Billy
of
Barty.
haziness around them, they work.
Yeah, for sure.
It's funny because I a little bit off topic, but I got to see all the
never
Raiders
get off
movies.
topic.
Never. I got to see all the Raiders movies in the theater, right? And I'm a big Indiana Jones fan, and this goes back to the whole Anthony De Longis thing. He actually helped Harrison in the last one just to kind of brush up on his bullwhip skills. This is the guy you get. This is the guy who taught Michelle Pfeiffer how to do her
bullwhip.
stuff, the bullwhip. And, you see the thing where she does with the mannequins in Batman Returns. She did that in one take because, he's that good. She got that good. So that's why you get this guy for fight choreography, for either sword play or whatever. And there's actually a lot of movies where you'll look back and it's Anthony De Longis is in there at some point.
He uses the bullwhip in this movie.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, right
the
near the
electrical
end.
one.
The electrical one, yeah.
But yeah, so now I got to
Dolph
remember where the
takes
hell I
it
was
like a
going back
champ.
to. Oh yeah, so I've seen all the Raiders movies, and there's certain scenes where like Raiders actually holds up completely, right? Temple of Doom, there's the scene where he's on the side of the mountain, and when you see it in like full size, like when it's on screen on TV, you're like, oh, it looks great. And then I see it in this, the theater sized, and I'm like, wow, that looks horrible, or when they're in the cave and they're at the very back of the cave and they're, before they get right into the temple itself, but they're going through all the tunnels and it's like, that doesn't look that good at all, right? And, so you see all these things because I'm now getting to watch some of these, we have the Digital Film Festival or whatever that's coming up every year. We get to watch something, that you didn't get to see in theater when you were a kid maybe. And so a lot of these I didn't get to see, just we were that poor. So now I'm getting to see them, and you see all these little, like, the practical effects that just didn't quite work or whatever. But it doesn't take the magic away. It doesn't take, it's still, no matter what, you're looking at these things and they're that big and they're epic.
Hey, how did okay, then that's my next question. I haven't really seen it on the big screen. How did the crates at the end of Raiders look? Like that big?
Those look fine. Raiders holds up. Raiders flat out holds up. And most of that was matte painting. So the only ones like were the guys walking and they had the hallway, so your crates are built up, but everything in the back and almost most of the sides is all matte painting.
Yeah.
Right. So only thing
but
is
like
right,
good, not like shitty, like in the Blob at the end.
Yes, not shitty like the Blob.
No,
it's
it's totally Raiders is one of the most crisp movies to date with practical effects, the whole 9 yards. Raiders holds up.
I think there's only one thing in it where like he falls and there's that snake in front of him. And you can just see the reflection in the glass.
Yeah, but you got to really,
the only thing.
You got to catch it. Back to the Future. Actually, I just watched all the Back to the Futures because it's 30th anniversary.
I just did that too.
And it was awesome. It was great. But and of course, some of these practical effects are going to pop up. And I think it was the first one where the car flies, and is it the end of the first movie or the beginning of the second movie? And you can see through the car. Like it's there, and you could actually see all the way through it. Mm-hmm. And it was like in the original Star Wars, you're watching Empire, and because everything's white, so you're going to do everything in front of blue screen. So they're in their fucking snow speeders and they're whizzing around, and everything's normally when you do that, you do it against a black background, but they couldn't do that in this because it's Hoth, right? So it's all white, and you could see through what they had built. Or designed or whatever for the snow speeders. You could actually see through all the piping or whatever, right? And like it wasn't, and because they had to change it, otherwise you could tell it wasn't quite right. And so they did that, and of course they've gone back and fixed that. But at the time, you could somewhat see through it. But again, there's a lot of this stuff you can't tell unless you're either on high definition or you're on a big screen where it like really pops and you're like, ooh. That one doesn't hold up so well. But again, it doesn't take away from the magic or anything, and I prefer those over. I'd rather do practical effects to begin with.
Yeah, digital
and then
ages quickly,
absolutely
really quickly.
But clean it up with some digital, and I think they're starting to learn that. I think they're starting to realize that you got to have both. You can't just do one or the other.
No.
When you watch all the prequels, they're fantastic and they're visually stunning and all stuff. Horrible fucking acting, but visually stunning. But there's something missing. because it's all blue screen. It's all blue screen, and so you there's certain things that you're missing, and
there's something dead about it. There's something sterile and dead
there's
about
just,
it.
Yeah, that one thing that's just wrong, and that's what makes it unbelievable. I just watched The Revenant, and which is awesome, stunning, because it's our backyard. It's our backyard. I mean, we're this is home for us, right?
Yeah.
All their background shots and stuff. But they had this bear, and this bear is computerized, and it looks fantastic. They did a great job. There's something off. There's just off, and it's movement. Its movement isn't quite right. It's almost like it just moves too fast in certain spots, and So anyway, sorry, I got way off.
Yeah, no.
now.
I think even like thinking of He-Man now, practical effects can really ground something in reality because your eye perceives it as real, right?
Yeah.
Which is why I think the new Star Wars worked so well, is because a lot of the stuff was more
Yeah.
practical, and the movies that we all love is all practical effects. This movie was, of course, solid practical effects. If they had some digital assistance, I didn't notice it. I'm sure. It was all
and I don't even think they could have, because I mean, like we're talking, Anthony De Longis uses a whip, and it's colored in. It's fucking a cartoon.
Yeah. It's
just
that's just the way they did. That's
just
how they did the
animated.
lightsabers back then. That's how they did that. They drew in the electricity when fucking, whatever, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
CG was way too expensive at that point. I mean,
Yeah.
we had Tron, but that was about it. Maybe young
And even
Sherlock
then,
Holmes.
it was just you
They
only
did-
had
they-
so much.
And Tron got
Yeah.
to do
an
with
Oscar
that.
snub, right? Because it was like, oh well, you're not.
Yeah.
It's not real, so it doesn't count.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, all the Canon group ever wanted was to be recognized. So maybe they're like, no CG, because we're going to make the next Oscar movie, and then they'll put out America 3000 or whatever. But
Yeah.
so speaking of grounded in reality, so when I'm watching He-Man, I'm the same as you, Jason. It's a good movie. It stands up.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't any worse than the fucking cartoon.
No.
But the thing about it that seems off, especially, and I know this is budgetary, why they put it in modern times.
Yeah.
Like
They brought it. Yeah, they brought it to Earth.
They brought
That
it. They brought it
sucked.
to Earth because of budget, and I
Yeah.
mean, I've read somewhere that doing Eternia was too expensive,
Yeah.
and I get
Although,
that.
Greyskull, like that set
That
was,
set was
two
amazing.
sound stages. It was one of the largest sets that
Yeah.
had been built in 40 years,
Yeah.
which is still incredible to even think about being this is a Canon movie.
And that would have just been one set in a larger
Yeah.
Eternia movie.
Well, I mean, I think they could have done it. I mean, most of it, you're running around in Eternia. Well, you can use fucking Arizona or New Mexico or hell, the fucking hoodoos and whatnot.
But
Background of Drumheller.
they
You
don't
could
have
use that
the
as
budget to
They
run
don't have
around
the
all
budget,
over the
yeah.
world.
If you look
You
at
know?
there's Eternia, the planet, there's actually several other areas. Like there's jungles, there's a vine jungle, there's a forest.
There is,
There's
but I
other
mean,
areas. You don't need to have it as some sort of Drumheller-esque landscape. You could also move it to another part of Eternia.
I just don't think
Yeah.
Canon had the resources to make it, and that's fine. And I think that possibly, because I'm trying to watch this as a kid again, when they get to Earth, the way I perceive that, and maybe it was in the script, maybe it was budgetary or a bit of both, but when they get to Earth, to me as a kid, it would be like, okay, so here's this cartoon character that I love, and now he's in high school, or he's in
Yeah.
a music shop, or whatever, right? So it brings that thing that you love that doesn't exist into a place that does exist. And this is the thing that makes this movie not work. Because the absurdity and the spectacle and just the overall
it doesn't
ridiculousness,
fit in the same
work.
background.
No.
Well, that's the same
Yeah.
thing with the latest Batman series, right? They had Chicago used as fucking Gotham. Now, if you watch the Burton movies, Gotham looks like Gotham, right?
Yeah.
Flat out. That Gotham is this fucked up city with a splash mixture of architecture that, shouldn't be put together, but is and works, and it's I-beams
Gotham
and
is
smokestacks,
Gothic.
and it's Gotham.
Until
But then when you
Schumacher
watch
changed
Christian
it.
Bale running around Chicago, he pops out like a sore thumb. It doesn't
Yeah,
work.
it doesn't work.
And because there's this character that's that big and that grand, whatever the case is, he's
Mm-hmm.
doing this fantastic shit. And yet, they did it. They made it work as well as they're going to. But at the same time, yeah, there's it's like everything else seems so real. And then in comes this guy who's dressed as a fucking giant bat. And it just doesn't work. And it's
Yeah.
the same thing
It's
for
it's sort of like
He-Man.
you have to have, this is the universe I expect to be in. This universe, I can accept it if it's this universe.
Yeah.
But when you try to, it's like you're mashing two things together that
Yeah.
aren't going to go.
There's just certain things we're trying to make it real. Well, you know what? Gotham should be
It's
its own
less
city.
real that way.
It is. It 100%
and
is.
I think that if this movie was done by a bigger studio, and you had the same script and the same cast, but you kept it on Eternia, I think it would be like a beloved childhood classic.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it would be like seeing He-Man on the big screen, which is what this was supposed to be. But putting it in the real world makes it goofy, because now that suspension of disbelief is gone. You know, you're no longer imagination driven. You're putting these things in a real world context. And I just thought it was lucky that they showed up with their 25 guys in one hover car in a town where only 4 people fucking lived.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it.
No one's in the streets.
That's it. You notice that, it's very barren streets and shit.
Budgetary, but you can get people.
Yeah, and you're looking through people's eyes. Like you're we're looking through Courteney Cox's eyes.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, right? Or her boyfriend or whatever, right? Like we're the ones who are supposed to be in this, like we're it's like we're the real guys watching this shit happen, and you get mixed up in it, and
that's almost where this movie fails a little bit, and because those 2 characters are too old, right? Because they're high school kids. So in '89, you're
saying it would have been cool with, say, like a couple of 7-year-olds,
a 9 or 10-year-old kid,
or 12-year-old,
because then you can put yourself in
like
that.
Stand By Me age.
Well, yeah, that's what I was just thinking. What was the age of the Stand By Me kids at the time?
12,
Like River Phoenix
11,
and all them
12.
fuckers.
River
Timeless.
Phoenix was like 13
That's the answer to your
or 12.
question.
Timeless? Fuck that. When I was a kid, we thought the
because I had a
Coreys were
crush
so
and he was
cool.
about my same age.
and Corey Feldman being in that movie, we thought the Coreys were so fucking cool, me and my buddy. And we're like, oh yeah, because we're like, we're going to relate to these guys. And all of a sudden, Corey Haim and Corey Feldman, was us too. And we're just like shitheads too and all this stuff. And then later on, you realize you're just whiny fucking bitches. And it's just like, oh, what a fucking drag, man.
Yeah.
Hollywood is bullshit.
Hollywood is bullshit. I'm going to go watch Doom Generation and cut myself.
But River Phoenix,
Okay,
Stand By Me, River Phoenix was masterful. It was a great role.
Indiana Jones, he was
Stand By
fucking
Me.
deadly.
Okay.
And
hold on, I gotta run the trailer for this thing and try to get us back on track. You know what? When they were making this movie, this was always going to be an uphill battle. I mean, let's face it. You got Conan-esque type fantasy characters carrying laser guns and flying machines and all stuff. It was always going to be an uphill battle, and when you bring it into the real world, just like Jeff says, any kind of suspension of disbelief was going to go out the window.
I think it came out too late. Because it came out at the end of the run of the figurines. Because the figurines, the majority of their run was basically 82 to about 87, 88.
And they ignored the cartoon.
And, that
might not have been their choice, though.
No.
Mattel could have had something to do with it.
Whatever the case is, but, I mean, the end of the toy run was there. That's the toy run. And the movie came out at the end of that. That movie should have came out in about 85, right? At the time, fantasy movies were all the rage back then. You remember Excalibur and fucking Legend and Willow and Labyrinth and all this shit was coming out in the 80s. It was all very fantasy. It's like how everything's superheroes now. It was very fantasy back then. Action movies and fantasy. And had it come out, say, 2 years earlier, right? About 85, I think the movie would have done better financially, right? And, again, of course, looking at all the other mishaps, but just moving the movie 2 years would have made all the difference in the world.
Timing sometimes is key.
Absolutely, would have been huge.
The world wasn't ready for a He-Man movie.
Apparently
okay.
not.
Roll the trailer.
They were over ready.
Dolph Lundgren.
At the far end of the universe, there is a planet ruled by a being of utter evil. And there is only one man who dares challenge him. They are locked in a battle to the death. A battle that will take them across the heavens. Stop him! A battle that will finally be fought. I want them hunted down and brought to me. Across the face. Police! Nobody move! Of Earth.
I think I'm gonna need some backups.
Can you show us the way?
No.
Somebody help me!
From a distant galaxy, they have come to Earth. Dolph Lundgren as He-Man. Frank Langella as Skeletor. Only they have the powers to be masters of the universe. Live the adventure.
And we did live that adventure. We're still living it. So, yeah, this basically follows... Well, it actually starts out on Eternia, and Gwildor is being pursued by Skeletor's forces because he has this thing called the Cosmic Key, but Skeletor's already got one of them.
Yeah, but he has the second one, but he wants to kill Gwildor, so that the second one can't be made, and he's the only one.
If he doesn't possess everything, he possesses nothing.
That's right. I love that
I will say this: he could spout shit lines like a pro, because it's one of those like Harrison used to say, and he'd be like, you can write this shit, but you can't say this shit, and he fucking does it with like his whole like
he wrote some of his lines, like that line.
Oh yeah.
Tell me about the loneliness of good. Is it like the loneliness of evil?
Yeah, that was all Langella.
Yeah. His motivation, I figured this out because he says it to Sorcerer a couple times too. So he was picked on and bullied because of the way he looks, and now he's mad. Because he's like, the years of ridicule and blah, 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 blah. And then he talks to He-Man about loneliness being evil. And so he just was bullied. I have it in my notes. Bullied a lot.
So Skeletor's just a 14-year-old boy?
He is,
basically.
100%. Yeah. And he has a robot arm, and they never use it. But he all lights up and makes noise. And,
he had a robot arm?
To be
he
fair,
totally does.
In the movie?
Yes, his left arm.
Yeah, he does. He's got this, I don't know if
Apparently, I
robot
don't pay
arm.
attention
It's
very
got like
much.
lights and shit all over it. And this was on a shitty VHS tape, I noticed it.
Wow.
Mine was DVD, so I saw it pretty cleanly.
I don't know. I was looking at a lot of the uniforms, and it was very, like your gear on top with spandex, and I was just like, I would change some of that
these
shit.
Costumes were really interesting because they're so big and so bulky, like so heavy. The guy, Blade, his was already 50 pounds after they took off some of it. Like he said, let's reveal some of my arms. I'll go bald headed because they wanted to cover him up in rubber and make him a less human
looking. Yeah.
True, and that would have just been so heavy.
He was afraid of for his health, and most of the costumes were like this. Meg Foster's was about
45 pounds.
45 pounds, and that's where their slinkiness comes from, because that chest plate she's always kind of thrusting out.
She had to, because her tits aren't that big as compared to this chest plate.
Well, it was just trying to
I think
hold herself off.
It's partly the chest plate, and it's also part like there was like this whole corseted weird thing happening. So she's got weight, plus also the stiffness that she's fighting against.
Oh yeah, like those things look solid.
We never see a lot of these guys sit.
Apparently, she had she would get like bruising in her groin and stuff from the breastplate, like pushing down on her and stuff. And like who knows how heavy with that cape, how heavy Dolph's was.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Dolph probably had the best costume there. He's like the lightest fucking costume. He's the biggest guy physically, and then like let's give him the lightest costume.
Yeah, I don't understand why. Teela is completely covered in armor, and then He-Man's just running around in his underwear.
Teela is not completely covered in armor.
No, she's covered in spandex. Yeah, which is funny. If I didn't notice this,
with the G-string,
she's got that butt accenting like
she does.
Strap in the back.
And if you look at her stuff, there's actually all this like Celtic.
That's somehow worse to me.
There's Celtic knotwork all over her.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah. I didn't notice that before, and I was watching it last night because I was watching different, just kind of like banging through it or whatever, right? And I had a Celtic knotwork on her little headgear and on her chest plate, and I was like, oh, okay.
Like just the way her outfit is, to me, it's more upsetting the way she's covered. If she was more naked, I would find it less upsetting. There's something just so terrible about that outfit.
The actress is okay, but it would have been nice if they got, like Duncan. They got the guy play Duncan. He looked like Man-at-Arms, and his armor looked kind of like the cartoon.
Yeah, pretty close.
It's like, why can't you get a red-headed, big-breasted chick to fucking play Teela? Wasn't Tawny Katane around at the time?
It wouldn't. That's not the point. I don't think it should like red-headed, big-breasted. Fine, but she should at least be like muscular. Like the chick who's playing her looks
very
like this
slender,
spindly little nothing that like if I just poked her with my finger, she'd just fall over like a balloon animal.
She looks like she's having trouble just in those small heels that she
can
had.
Barely hold. Like it looks like she's holding the gun with two hands.
Oh, I know.
This is so heavy.
There's someone who's skilled with a fucking handgun. You know what I mean? It's just like. Yeah.
Oh, come on. Dolph was pretty terrible with his,
he one-handed that huge gun and then it right away.
He looks like he can hold it
He looks like he can hold the gun.
She looks like she's having trouble just
She's holding it like this.
It
looks so untrained, everything. Yeah. And then, like...
I don't think I've ever, in any movie ever, when, like, in the music store... when the bald cop somehow tricks her into going out there, she is holding the gun in the most ineffective, effeminate way of holding a blaster I've ever seen. Like, I commented to my wife about it. I was like, that was ridiculous. Where she's got like the bent elbow.
Yeah.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, that's what I
was
mean.
like, do you know what happens when you shoot a gun like that?
Yeah,
Kick
you
back
get
in
the
the
fucking
face.
get a
You get kicked back in the face and you hurt yourself.
Yeah,
You also
yeah.
can wreck your wrists really bad.
Luckily, there's no recoil
Yeah.
on a laser gun. Apparently.
Filmmakers
not.
out there, regardless of how fake the gun is, put everybody through actual gun training.
Well, not even just
Yeah.
that. Where
Wow.
the fuck was her director?
Yeah, it's true.
I'm sorry, but if you're the fucking director, it's your fucking job to make it
he
look like she knows
he
what
was
she's doing.
directing another theme park ride because that's where his
what he
claim to
does,
fame
yeah.
was.
The Terminator 2 ride. And
Okay, so Gwildor has the other cosmic key. They escape being pursued by Skeletor's forces. They escape with the damaged key to Earth. With the other key, they wind up tracking them to this planet and then coming over, and chaos ensues. And, of course, the key is found by Kevin, who is Courteney Cox's, Julie's boyfriend.
in their really weird, they find it at the beginning part of that really weird forced subplot about Courtney
her
Cox's
dead parents?
Oh, it's
being dead.
terrible.
And they're like in the
Terrible.
they're in the cemetery,
I don't care
and
that
she's
their
like,
parents
"It's
are dead. I
my
don't care about
fault.
this woman."
They died in a plane crash. Hey, look at this thing! Whoa, this is awesome!" And it's like
The
It's
only
the dumbest
time
thing,
that-
and they also have the subplot where it's like, "Oh, she's leaving town tonight. We
Well-
got to make sure everybody knows she's leaving town."
Well,
tonight.
the way
let's
this-
have all the characters say that she's leaving town tonight.
The way it ends, she's back in her bed. I'm like, so the way the key worked suddenly changes?
No.
He
He said
said-
it. He said, "I can send you back in time." Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Wait, Gwildor,
Into
you know,
your
as-
own bodies?
yes,
I don't know. Fuck, it's fucking Hollywood, man.
Maybe Gwildor didn't want her to know that he had to kill other Courtney Cox.
Maybe he went over there, fucking did the other one in, sends us one back, good to go.
Yeah.
He just
Gwildor
didn't wanna
had a lot
tell
of
her.
pent up aggression. I don't
Probably
know if you
did, man.
noticed
He's
that.
like what he
Yeah.
was supposed to be, Orko, but
well,
couldn't do
budgetary
Orko.
restraints.
The detective's trying to arrest them all the time. At no point does he arrest them for stealing that car.
Yeah,
Which
the way,
Gwildor retrofitted in
Yeah,
about
how do you
5
retrofit that
seconds.
shit in an hour, maybe 2 hours or whatever? Maybe
He
had?
essentially
Yeah.
built
and
like
it takes
the
him
DeLorean
hours to
from back
put the fucking new cosmic key together.
Yeah.
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 That thing is really delicate. They actually, prop wise, they built 3 of them, and they had to have a guy on set 24 hours, like while they were shooting,
Of course.
if that broke down, and they would fix that one while the other one was on set because they were
Crazy.
so
It's a really
delicate.
great prop.
There's
Like, it looks
3 of them.
awesome.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a great prop. It opens up, spins around, and it's crazy.
everything you'd want in a
It
toy
is-
if
It's
you were
magical
10.
looking. It's
It doesn't
magical
look as
looking.
good. I have Gwildor as a toy with his fucking cosmic key. It looks horrible.
No, but if they had done like a kid
As a
one-
prop,
Did a proper one
as a
now?
prop,
I would
that
see one
prop-
nowadays. I could see them being able to do it nowadays.
That prop is currently on the market worth $6,000.
crazy.
That's it?
Yeah.
That's not bad.
That's, well, I mean, it's a shitty movie.
Whatever. It's fucking
Anybody want to
He-Man.
pull some money, guys?
Yeah,
Fucking He-Man.
It's not,
We
it's
can share it.
achievable. It's achievable. Yeah, I'll take it Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Do you think that Gwildor's repressed anger and why he went back in time to kill Courtney Cox is because
We are going like this happened
It's
now.
because-
This is
like-
flat
Oh,
out,
this
it
is
had to
canon
happen.
now.
that bit
This
at
is
the-
canon.
there's that bit at the end where he shows up and he's in drag, right? So like maybe in
Oh,
Eternia,
that's right, too, he
like
does.
the transgender rights thing wasn't really there, and so he was
He was all like pissed off about it
oppressed,
and
yeah.
shit. Yeah, I could see that.
So he just
you know.
wanted to be him, and like he just
What
couldn't
do you think he
it.
looks like without his beard?
I can't even imagine. He looks like that guy from Star Wars.
I don't-
The like really
Yoda?
Nimnub or whatever the fuck.
yeah,
his
the
name?
little
Nimnub
the
or
real
whatever?
racisty looking Bothan guy that like flies the Falcon with Lando.
with Lando, yeah, Nimnub, but I
that's
think his
it.
name
So
was or
he's
something like that.
actually Gwildor,
Yeah.
like in the future. He
You know,
shaved
that guy that was a language he was speaking. It was like fucking Kenyan or some
Oh, really?
bullshit, some African language. So in
Oh,
Africa,
nice.
they knew what he was actually fucking saying, right? Kind of thing.
What-
But we don't know it because it just sounds
What
like an
was he
alien fucking
saying?
language.
Like, was he saying like,
oh, he's probably
they've
telling
hit
off
our
fucking
shields?
Lando.
they've
He's
hit our
like, you're not really black. I'm really black.
He's like going, yeah, Dad, get out of the way, you dumbass. Like, I don't.
Whatever, but he had lines, and but I mean, so does fucking Chewie.
Yeah.
He has actual lines. He's saying shit to Han, and then they go and add in all the sound effects afterwards.
So we have
awesome.
like transgender issues, and then I don't know if you noticed this like heavy-handed vegetarian aspect of the movie.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I
yeah,
wrote
what the
down.
hell was that?
I
What?
loved
Oh.
Man at Arms.
I did
Fuck it.
write that down.
When you're fighting, right? Don't think about it. Like when you're at war, when you're eating, don't think.
Yeah,
And
they
it's
wind
like,
up at this chicken rib joint and
Yeah.
stealing a bucket.
Yeah.
And they start eating, and Gwildor's
They're like,
going,
"I've never had this before.
is
It's good."
delicious.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Well, and
Tila
Tila's
goes,
like,
why is it on these white sticks?
Yeah,
Um,
and he goes, "Those are fucking those are bones.
Those are rib bones. She's like, "This
That's a
is
rib
an
bone.
animal? What a barbaric!"
And then
It's
she gets
funny.
so upset.
Yeah, and then fucking Gwildor's like, it tasted good.
Like, it tasted good.
And Man at Arms is just like, meh.
Fuck it.
Fuck it. I've eaten
So I
animal
guess they're
before.
vegetarians and fucking.
When you're at
Eternia.
war, you eat what you can eat.
Yeah, I couldn't figure that out. Like, was that just somebody like who was writing it, or
it's
like was
probably
part
some
of the movie? It was
fucking
like going, we
yuppie
have to make
hippie
sure
who-
that they know that they're vegetarians
Yeah,
or something.
Fuck off.
Yeah, because
Was this
vegetarians are good guys.
Was this financed by PETA?
That was my issue with fucking what's that goddamn game, Fable. If you ate a chicken or whatever, it was fucking bad and you'd get fat, and it's like, fuck off with this shit. Jesus Christ.
Leanest meat out there, unless it's deep fried.
Yeah, apparently.
So
Yeah, that stuff was not
It's
lean
not
with
all
eating.
about the chicken, but unless it's in a sewer.
Chicken in the sewer.
Chicken sewer.
Throwback. Okay, so yeah, it's really mainly Skeletor's forces pursuing these poor humans.
Yeah, the plot of
who
this is
wind
the
up.
same as the cartoon.
It really is.
He-Man!
That's He-Man.
It's true.
I'll
Yeah.
get you, He-Man. Why?
Yeah.
Then he turns into Joker.
Well, they're mainly pursuing Gwildor, but yeah, He-Man is a plus because
Well,
he's
he
always
wants
wanted
the
that
key.
sword.
Yeah, he always wanted the sword. No,
So-
I'm so powerful now.
Yeah,
You know what? Actually, I didn't realize that, and I'm thinking about it now. Actually, the sword was the key to
Yeah.
Castle Grayskull
Now,
as a
yeah.
figurine, as
Yeah.
a toy.
Yeah.
It was in the movie as well. You needed that sword to gain the.
Now,
the cosmic
most
power.
of Skeletor's forces were robot stormtrooper type things.
Air quotes. 'cause it's
Yeah,
not
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
air
definitely
quotes. You
are.
can't
Like
see my air
fucking
quotes.
stormtroopers, too.
And then there was Beastman, which was a toy.
He was the only one.
And Evil Lyn.
Oh, and Evil, yeah.
And then the rest were created for this movie because the director
Yeah.
think it's ridiculous that a guy with a sword isn't going to kill people, but they had to make the robots so it's okay, you know. And Hasbro
Stupid.
didn't want anybody
Mattel.
getting, or sorry, you're right, sorry, Mattel was anal about their characters. They didn't want any of their characters getting killed on screen, so that's where Sorod gets killed by Skeletor early on for that initial fail of retrieving the key.
Which was a waste for him, though. Because
Yeah.
like they put
He
a
was
lot of money.
cool
His
looking.
makeup was a great makeup, and they put a lot of money into that makeup just to kill him 15 minutes.
And William
in, kind of
Stout
thing,
was
right?
actually, as was publicly said, he was very disappointed about that character being killed so early in the film because it was really neat the way his neck would puff out.
Oh, he was
Yeah.
a great makeup,
Yeah, the
and it's
makeup
like
on
that
that
was a
was
waste.
great. Yeah.
Apparently, that was like an air bladder in the neck, and then
Yeah.
he just
Oh,
had a
yeah.
hose.
Yeah,
Yep.
and he was just
blow
blowing
into
it.
it.
It was a simple effect, but it looks so good on screen.
It's
Yep.
weird, but yeah, you can figure out some of the simplest things. You can just make it
Yeah,
so magical.
And then
if you
they,
just figure it out.
I'm like, why did you kill that one and not the dude with all the white hair? It was really short.
Who was pointless?
Karg? Karg?
He had a hook for a hand. I don't know if you ever noticed
See,
that.
and why did he not get
who
killed?
cares?
Because
He
we established throughout that movie that he's the most useless of all of them.
He's so
He is. He's this little fucking like
He had a great
dude with like
commanding voice,
tall
though.
man issues or whatever it is, or short man issues, whatever you call that, and little man syndrome. That's what it is. And jumping around like a fucking cartoon character. And I guess it's like
Yeah, he's always
pop him
jumping
one,
on
you know?
boxes and shit.
Right in a
and
fucking
tables
head. Boom,
and
watch him flip
But
backwards.
not even
drop.
that. Like, he's like, oh, we were outnumbered. Like, he's caught in several lies throughout this and still survives for some
Yeah.
reason.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd have killed him over the fucking lizard,
And
which I always thought was just Cobra Khan.
Beastman
anyway.
doesn't talk at all, but I don't think he could because his teeth
I don't
were
think they were
so
able to do
big
it.
for on that actor. I was reading that he couldn't actually completely shut his mouth, so at
That
the
must
end
have
of the
gotten sore
shoot
after
day,
a while.
at the end of the shoot day, the jaw part of the costume would be filled with saliva.
Ew.
It'd weigh it down.
Yeah.
Oh,
And the thing
I
is,
know.
What's
Gross, right?
with his samurai armor he had and his fucking? If you notice, he's got a
Karg.
knob top or whatever on top too.
Yeah.
Like he's got this whole samurai thing going. Other than that, he looked like Beastman. So I was.
I think
I
he
was
was
hoping-
supposed to be the military tactician.
I was hoping that had to do something with the canon, that it was like there was a crossover from Earth and there, and like he'd had access to like samurai culture from like Earth. I don't
It
know.
was weird. Blade had.
wanna believe that, that'd be great.
It felt like there was a backstory they didn't tell us. His first confrontation with He-Man. I've been waiting for this a long time. Did anybody get
Yeah.
the feeling that He-Man took that eye?
That's the theory,
yeah.
is
Yeah.
that I think it was in the novelization. that
Okay.
He had lost his eye because of He-Man, but they couldn't show that obviously in the movie because He-Man can't
Yeah.
do anything. That's another thing. Did you guys notice that He-Man isn't really in this movie?
He's not the main character.
No.
He's barely on
No,
the screen.
Courtney Cox is.
Courtney Cox, I think that's the other reason why it doesn't work. When you want to watch a He-Man movie,
wanna watch He-Man.
He-Man is the main character,
Yep.
and the other major characters are Man-at-Arms and
Yep.
Teela and Skeletor. And
So
Evelyn.
for any studios
Nobody else.
fucking listening to this, okay, and this is where I'm going to fucking flat out there, okay? Remember Birds of Prey? Yeah. You know Gotham? Yeah. All these fucking shows that going to do, hey, we're going to show Gotham and all this shit, but you don't get Batman? Fuck you guys. You know what we want to see? Batman, okay? I don't give a shit about Barbara Gordon or any of those other bitches fucking flipping around. Who gives a shit, okay? Batman. That's what we want to see. It's not that I don't want to see Barbara Gordon, but I want to fucking see Batman there. Just saying.
Yeah, and that's
Don't be
where,
like that, okay?
And that has been Reid's soapbox.
Fuck that shit.
Trish didn't even get one this episode.
Oh, not yet.
Not yet. It'll come.
It'll come.
It'll come. Did you guys get a connection with maybe I'm reaching here, but when they activate the cosmic key in the music shop and it starts projecting lights and stuff,
Yeah.
That's
I kind
new.
of thought that maybe the holophone thing from Futurama that Fry plays,
Yeah.
maybe it was influenced by that.
I wonder if
maybe
it
not,
was.
but
That'd be kind of cool.
similar idea.
So,
anyway.
okay, was the key fucking damaged when they first go to Earth?
I think so.
Yeah.
It got
Was it
Yeah,
damaged right
because,
off
well,
It got shot just when they were
Yeah.
going through.
And that
In fact, they
badass-
dropped it.
That
In fact,
badass grappling.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
in fact, they
grappling
dropped
hook
it,
grabs
and
it.
then Gwildor's grappling hook, which I thought was originally Man-at-Arms.
Yeah.
Me
and I'm like-
too.
and then Gwildor's holding it. I'm like, oh, fuck you.
yeah.
He's holding it without the
Man-at-Arms-
cosmic key when they land.
Yeah, and then
Oh, I didn't
notice. Thing probably
they
weighs
managed
20
to get it
pounds.
through.
Yeah,
and
he
then
is,
it
because he's
falls
like,
out.
it's like, where is it? And he's like all like uppy
Yeah.
about it. But
He's like, I can't
okay,
see through
fair
my
enough. I was just wondering because it's like, okay, well, the thing's damaged. It's like, you spent a couple of hours. I guess they had to go find it too. But, I mean, the length of time it took him to fix his car, it's like, you know what, just slap a fucking button on that key and go. Apparently we have the technology in 1987, so, to do all that.
oh yeah, when the keyboard comes out, you have cosmic keys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me. I felt that there was this really underdeveloped plot too, with how the universe was all harmonies and stuff.
Harmonies
right?
and stuff.
They
Actually, it's kind of a neat idea.
It's a cool idea, and they
Yeah.
allude to it a little bit because he's like, the universe is all music, and then they cut the scene, right? Because it's like, well, we
I
didn't
know.
develop this any further, but
Yeah, that
kind
was
of a
Could have
actually
gone
neat.
the whole thing like atomic vibrations. You
Yeah.
know, all
yeah.
that.
And speaking of music, and you probably picked up on this, I know I did. But did you feel that the guy who did the score in this just ripped off John Williams the whole time?
Oh, fucking totally.
Not even Star
it's-
Wars, Superman.
You know what's funny? Do you know who did it?
E.T.?
Bill Conti. I looked at it at the end of the movie there the
Really?
other night. Bill Conti did it. Now, for those, again, we're going to go with the whole Rocky thing. He's the guy who did all the Rocky score.
Yeah, which is
Right?
awesome.
Which is awesome.
So
and by
why-
the way, if you ever
why
want to
did he
work
rip off
out
John
Rocky
Williams?
score, this shit makes you want to pump iron. Just saying. But yeah, he did that, and then they did this. And it was a real John Williams ripoff. But a lot of movies back then, if they were going to do that epic thing, I mean, even the credits for Masters was that, the letters kind of swooping in
Like
the way they did
Superman.
in the first Superman movie.
I felt
you know.
the theme, He-Man's theme, was 3 or 4 notes off of Superman's theme.
Yeah,
it was
probably.
almost
Probably
identical.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tons of E.T. Every
You know.
time the cosmic key activated, it was the E.T. theme.
Yeah,
It was ridiculous.
for sure.
I don't know how you'd pull it off, but I mean, we remember very much the score in the series, the cartoon series, and if there was a way to do that,
They couldn't have grounded it on Earth with that score, though.
probably
'Cause it's
not,
so
but it was still
ridiculous.
it's a cool score if you could do it right. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm not that well versed in music in that way, but if there's a way to do it, I mean, when they did Call, which by the way is a shitty movie, but Call, they mixed fucking heavy metal with score. You know what I mean? When he was fighting, it was like, da-na-na-na-na-na-na, they were, and it was kind of cool. And I remembered that. And I was like, fuck, it's kind of cool, right? Well, why couldn't they do something like that with He-Man? That would have been neat.
Budget.
Yeah, budget.
That's
Let's
the
get
answer
Bill
to
Conti,
every
but we don't have the
question.
fucking money for anything else.
Yeah, and did you guys notice the shots that were filmed in mirror image? There's a couple shots, when Skeletor's invasion force shows up.
Yeah.
My wife asked me why they did it this way, because she noticed it too. But they're walking down the street, and they pass a pharmacy, and the signs are reversed. So drugs is backwards. And when they break into the...
I totally missed that.
there's the pizza...
So is that them? Does that mean they're basically through the windows of the drugstore? You're seeing the drug sign backwards?
They're walking
They're
in front, outside.
And you're
drug
seeing
is
the
spelled
reflection.
backwards.
Yeah.
I think there's...
It might be because they filmed it one way, and
I'm
they're like,
thinking
"Oh, this
they-
doesn't make sense in the context."
Yeah,
of where
I
they're
think
going
they
to.
thought it wasn't working in that direction, and or there was a line crossed from the previous shot, so flipping it puts it on the back in the right direction, and hopefully nobody notices, which Jeff did. I've seen that movie a few times, and I've never noticed
Is that a mic boom?
That's
no
an
mic
image
boom.
for
What
it.
takes me away from porn, man, is when that mic boom pops in, just wrecks everything.
Yeah. I'm totally out of the fantasy at that point.
Totally out of the fantasy,
Yeah,
just
totally.
wrecks it.
It just
Some
took you out of
things
the
you
story,
can't ground
right?
in reality. That's what I'm telling you.
Absolutely.
This doesn't work at all. She probably doesn't like that.
See, that's why I have problems with porn. Like, I'm sure the plumber's there and stuff is happening, but that kitchen sink still isn't draining.
Yeah.
Like, why is she not upset about that?
I don't know. Fuck. Porn's boring now.
Those
Anyway.
weren't the pipes she
Now-
needed cleaning, I guess.
Now we got to talk about that detective a little bit.
This guy.
He's brought in
What, the principal from Back to the Future?
Yeah, he's brought in after the high school kind of gets destroyed on the initial Skeletor's forces.
And he's kind of like
trying
an
to track
asshole right
down
off
the
the bat,
key.
too.
So they're
Yeah.
tracing down Julie. Yeah, and he's an asshole right off the bat. Kevin hears about it while he's trying to take his Japanese, air quotes, synthesizer to a music shop to figure out what the fuck he
Yeah,
found.
holy 1987, hey?
Japanese
He's like, I'm a
synthesizer.
badass musician. He's got his leather jacket. He's like, listen to this. And he's playing like some fucking Tears for Fears on his side.
Basically,
Yeah.
And then the store, it's all fucking synthesizers.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
And it gets blown up, and then that guy, what's his name?
well, there's
Charlie?
some drums. There's some drums.
Yeah.
Charlie runs
Yeah.
in, he's like, my synthesizers!
Yeah, so
But there's
he-
still one good
Oh,
one.
yeah,
is there
the cop
any
comes in and
character
right off
more
the bat-
80s than that guy?
In fact,
Oh, the music store
Music
guy?
store guy,
Yeah.
I got the feeling that
He's the
this
personification
town or
of 80s.
city was about 3 or 4 blocks long, because
Just a
every
small
car
town.
goes
No, it's a
by.
tiny, tiny town.
Yeah, every car
Or a
goes
suburb. Maybe
by
it was
the
a
music
suburb of a
shop,
fucking city
and
or
then he
something.
realizes that they're going to where he left his girlfriend in the gymnasium, who's leaving town, and
See, now, why did he leave her there again?
because she wanted to stay. She
Okay.
wanted some time to herself.
I
She
have
wanted time for
several
herself because she was like, I'm leaving. This is my last
This is
couple
her
of days at
nostalgia
school kind
moment.
of thing. I want to do a little nostalgic thing. And then so he fucks off. And as soon as he fucks off, these guys come in. I don't hear nothing while I'm in the parking lot going to my car.
I know,
Massive
right?
fucking explosions and shit. I'm driving away. So apparently they're deaf in that town as well. And
Yeah.
And
well, there's
I-
only 5 people.
So yeah, he gets
Most of them are cops.
he doesn't quite get arrested, but he gets taken along with the cop because they're both being lippy to each other.
Yeah.
Brings him back to Julie's house because hopefully they can find Julie there because she's a suspect in the blowing up of this school, and offers to make him nuke him some chicken, which winds
Why?
up jamming the signal from the
yeah.
and then they
No, I get that.
remotely
if the
blow it up.
microwave's running at my house, my Wi-Fi doesn't work. It's basically the same principle.
Yeah, okay, I can go with that. Okay,
Serious?
you know what?
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
even kidding.
Yeah.
You know what? Fuck it. I'll go with that. It was
Okay.
the 80s. The microwave
Fine.
fucked up some shit, okay? You turn the vacuum on, the TV was always scrambly.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that being... Okay, so when they're at the school and the cops are there and he comes up and he's like, Julie, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we do know, we've established that your friend may have been here. At what points is that grounds for us to go and fucking basically arrest this kid and drag him off? None, except to state... Look, my friend was
He's
here.
the
She's
shittiest
not
cop in the
anymore.
world.
Go find this fucking... Go find her. I mean, obviously something happened. And then he's looking at his fucking toy. His toy could be fucking anything. Who gives a shit what his toy is? Recognize it's a fucking toy. He doesn't know what it is.
he just wants
right?
to arrest somebody.
He just needed to
This
arrest
is-
somebody.
You know how you say like
Yeah.
small man syndrome? This is small town cop syndrome.
Yeah.
They're
Whatever,
looking for
man.
the action
Fuck.
and they're looking to find it, so they'll just do
It's just,
anything.
Yeah, either way, he's a great principal, sort of. He's a terrible fucking
Oh yeah,
cop.
he's pretty good principal.
Wait.
He's a bad
you
cop.
want to say it? You want to say what kind of cop is he? He's a fucking slacker.
a slacker.
He's a slacker. He's a slacker.
Yeah,
Actually,
I don't
no.
know.
If anything, he's like too much into his job. He doesn't.
Something. I don't
he's
know,
like
but yeah, fucking-
he overcompensates in his cop job.
Oh, for sure. Well, even though he seems to get rewarded for it at the end of the movie, but for
Oh.
all his shit ass
Yeah,
behavior,
I'm sorry.
he
Are you
never
saying that
fucking,
this movie
you know-
is inconsistent in any way?
a canon film? No.
And how come? Okay, so
No.
he's like, I'm going to arrest these guys. You guys stay back here while I go fuck with these guys when they're just about to go portal back to fucking Greyskull.
Yeah.
And he's like, you guys stay back here. I'm going to go in. This is my collar, and I'm going in. And it's like, really? These guys have like fucking blasters and shit. Like, they're fucking armed. You're going to run in there by yourself, with no other cops at all. Like, they're just going to fucking, oh yeah, we'll just hold back.
Yeah,
no problem.
this is after the raid on the music shop, so he's like well aware of what they're capable of.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's like, it's like, yeah, I think at that point you fucking ask for some backup, be a proper fucking cop and do that.
I know.
Yeah, no, he lands on the planet, kind of hides for most of it, and then now he's got like this hot girl and feeding him. And he's like, "Nah, I'm staying here. Fuck that job.
Fuck that. I'd stay there too. You notice none of those chicks wear bras? Just saying.
Hey. I'm sorry, but you really have to support those things for your safety and others.
I don't know if anybody wanted to make it with Evil Lynn. They needed the jaws of life just to get her out of that bodice.
It could be fun, but you'd be like tired afterwards, so you'd like need a nap and then get up and do the deed. That could be okay.
So I liked when Skeletor eventually shows up, and that giant, probably like thunderously loud hovercraft, sneaks up in like the most ridiculous.
That bothered me.
And so they're all like,
they looked cool though. Those fucking things looked awesome.
They looked awesome.
They look like the things from Jedi.
Shut up. Let me enjoy this.
They did.
But Gwildor looks
with Jason
right at him.
He did.
And keeps talking. And it does no idea.
Now, this film does reuse props from other movies. In some of the miniatures of the town, they have some buildings from Ghostbusters and Blade Runner in use in this town, which makes this 4-block town look a lot bigger if you're doing an aerial.
I know. It's supposed to be a small town.
It looks like a suburb.
So I don't know why you're stealing buildings from essentially big city scenes, but whatever.
You don't need that.
I just loved when Skeletor was like zaps Courteney Cox with like his magical poisonous lightning bolt, and then she's like crippled the rest of the movie.
Well, I love how it's
where was that?
Let's not even take her to a hospital. Let's not even try to do that. No, she's got her only hope is to go back to Eternia. Nobody even thinks about taking her to
they said right away, it's like her only hope is the sorceress. Like they knew they'd seen.
They also didn't know that they had pianos, cosmic keys on Earth.
I guess,
even though he was in a room full of them.
Hey, are you telling me that this?
She probably just needed a fucking Advil.
Are you not suspending disbelief?
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
To be fair, she was shot in the ankle by like electronic lightning crap. I don't know what that's going to do.
Hey, the Emperor had that shit, and that shit fucked you up, okay? You remember fucking, like, Luke Skywalker all, like, crippled on the floor? I remember that shit. That was scary as fuck when you were a kid. You're like, fuck yeah, that shit's awesome.
Are you saying this movie is a lot like Star Wars and has a lot of parables?
It's only the exact ending of Star Wars, but other than that, not really.
Right? Yes, he dies in the Emperor's death.
Her makeup... Did you ever play Skyrim?
Her makeup didn't suck.
I played a little bit of
Skyrim. Yeah, so Courteney Cox was a warrior just like you until she took a magical poisoning lightning bolt to the knee.
Yeah.
I just thought that was funny. And then she's
actually was more to her ankle, which is why I'm like going, God, her name should have been Achilles.
Her Achilles heel, maybe?
Her Achilles, yeah.
All right, either way, but the makeup looked good, and that being said, considering budget constraints and whatnot, and I know that they were going to do more with Skeletor's makeup, his makeup looked fucking deadly.
Oh,
except for his nose.
You know what? I was
okay with it.
Yeah, you'd have to cut off Frank Langella's nose, and we're not doing that.
No.
Yeah. And he's got like
not for a Canon film.
He's got a honker
I thought that makeup looked really good.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it.
Something Heather pointed out is that Skeletor's makeup is so heavy that Frank Langella really can't
enunciate through it and express
he
himself.
Snarls.
He can only snarl because it's so much.
And a lot of people thought he that was somebody overdubbed him. That's not the case. That actually is Frank Langella's voice, and he does sound a lot different than he normally would. He's putting on his best supervillain. I think I need to see.
He was a fun
again.
villain. He really was.
Yeah. He owned that role.
You know what?
You couldn't have picked a better guy.
Let's actually play a little snippet of Skeletor because he fucking just chews the screen every time he's on it. So I'm gonna play
with
that little
shitty
bit.
lines.
They're amazing lines.
He makes them sound like Shakespeare. He
does
do Shakespeare.
This is going to be the "Where is your strength? Where is it gone?" line. All right.
Enough. Where is your strength? Where is it gone? Look at your pretty sorceress. An old crone, weak, withering, dying. Are you ready to kneel now, proud warrior?
The moon rises to its apex.
Do you hear? The Alpha and the Omega, death and rebirth, and as you die, so will I be.
Wow, like he went on full on Shakespeare in this thing.
I think you
Yeah.
have to with that kind of character, though.
Yeah.
I mean, really, okay, your villain is your hero is only as strong as your villain. I mean, Batman wouldn't be.
This
Batman's
movie
always cool, but
is
he would
as
be.
strong as the villain. Cause
Absolutely.
it hinges on Frank Langella
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
everybody else is complete shit in this movie.
You know what? Given what I mean, really, okay. I mean, you watch the cartoon, even though I mean, Skeletor's the most fun character. I mean, especially if you watch the Christmas
would,
special. Right?
I would put this
You know,
right up
he
there
is-
with Darth Vader for best
is-
screen villain.
Absolutely.
Like, he is so good.
But how good are your heroes really going to... I mean, he's He-Man, right? I mean, fucking, we like He-Man because he's He-Man and all that, but I mean, he's not exactly like this out there character at all.
Well,
Like, he's very two-dimensional.
yeah, he's
You know?
he's Superman.
He-Man
he's,
isn't interesting.
He's,
I
apple
give
pie
Superman a
and
lot more credit for
good
being more
morals.
three-dimensional than He-Man.
But you know,
but yeah.
he's always given off the good morals and every. He's
I mean,
supposed
Lex
to be.
Luthor has to be more charismatic
Yeah.
than Superman. The Joker is obviously much more charismatic than Batman. Skeletor has to be more charismatic than He-Man. And I think with this, he stepped up. You know, he didn't. You know, as we were saying earlier, you know, before we started, was he didn't phone this shit in. He did it, and he's like, "Fuck it, I'm just going to go right in. Like, have fun. You're behind the makeup.
Apparently,
Have fun with it."
Apparently, Frank Langella's son loved He-Man, obviously, and so he did the role for him, and he was like stoked to do it. Like he was excited to take that position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it shows. I mean, he has clearly the most fun,
Yeah.
but he's the most solid actor. He really plays the theatricality
Yeah.
of it.
I mean, a lot of people
which they
were
didn't
very.
do, and they all should have been doing that kind of insane.
It's sort
Yeah.
of like he gets where he is. He knows what's going on. He knows what
he
this
was the
movie
only.
is.
He's probably the only one of that cast that ever watched the cartoon
Probably.
Yeah.
You know.
because he knew where he was going.
You know, I think Meg Foster.
she did good.
She did
She
good.
does a
She
good
did
job.
good.
in
She's
this
good.
movie.
She plays
She
it
actually
straight.
gives her character a bit of an arc, which probably wasn't even in the script. She
Yeah.
kind of looks at Skeletor in those earlier scenes with these doughy eyes. And
Yeah.
I think she's actually kind of in love with him. And by the end, she's like, "Fuck this
Yeah,
guy!"
fuck this guy. And
Pulled
she-
her,
Yeah.
pulled
she
her
bails.
forces
Yeah,
and
and she
bails.
fucked off.
Well, there was
Because
that.
she's a character
I
who's
think
on equal
I think
level
in
with
the original,
Skeletor.
Yeah.
I don't know about so much the cartoon, but if you went with some of the mythologies and stuff that have come since then or whatever, but that Skeletor and Evil Lyn were a thing. And then of course he has his face burned off or whatever the case is. If you go with the whole Keldor run of the mythology,
the 2002.
they were something and whatnot. But then his face gets burned off. Well, it's kind of hard to eat pussy now.
Jesus, without
Wait,
lips,
he
eh?
can, without
Listen.
lips, but you got a tongue. Deal with it.
Does he?
Anyway,
Hey, it wouldn't stop me. Okay, I'm a fucking pussy hound. That wouldn't stop me. But I mean, it's nice to have the lips
But-
feeling there rather than my
True.
fucking teeth biting you.
yeah. He'll work around it. But anyway,
You work around it.
God, I was going to say something about, but Evelyn, like you say, she's got that arc. Like I can remember the
Yeah.
beginning of the film where it's like, finally,
It's
we
not in
have
the
Castle
script.
Greyskull, and he's like, no, I have it, and she's like, you dick. Like
Yeah,
you can just see her
exactly,
going
yeah.
like, fucking hell.
She just makes
Still-
sure she grabs
still?
Karg, the most useful guy in Eternia, before she bails.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go, Karg.
Yeah,
All right.
well, because he's leading the forces. He's a big military.
She needs cannon fodder. What?
yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Oh, you know what was really?
They were thinking of a sequel at the time. They
were.
so they
So, and then
Live to fight another day.
Skeletor gets the crazy gold armors.
What was
Stuff.
that?
I don't know.
I kind of liked
was
it. I
awesome.
like this fucking helmet piece. That looked fucking like everything else was
but
the
it
same,
kept
just
him,
gold.
It
but
made
his helmet piece looked
made
fucking
the fighting
deadly.
stuff style a little stiff because of it.
Well, yeah,
you know.
fucking was it 50
You know
pounds
what
on your
it
head?
made me
Yeah.
think of?
Well, and he couldn't actually take the staff and
No.
swing it around
Maybe he
because
could take a Clash of the
he'd
Titans.
break off his helmet.
Remember, like, Big Trouble in Little China? And then two wizards are fighting, and they're like the imaginary samurai going at each other very
Yeah, yeah,
slowly.
yeah.
That's what it made me think of.
I mean, it really does feel like Luke versus Darth Vader, just
Oh, it totally
not
is.
as cool.
The ridiculousness and grandeur and spectacle of that armor makes sense because that's what He-Man is about. It's all these like
Bigger,
weird,
bigger-
bigger grand transformations. When you gain more power, you change into something bigger than yourself. Look
Yeah.
at She-Ra, right? With her crazy gold headpiece
Absolutely,
and whatever,
yeah.
right? And that's drawn off the same power.
no,
It makes sense.
We'd have to go to the I mean, with the original cartoon. I mean, there really wasn't much difference between Adam and He-Man. But if you go to the 2002 cartoon,
Yeah, Adam's the only
Oh,
guy in
yeah.
Eternia that wears pants. I'm just pointing that out.
yeah, he's a teenager. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so when he's connecting to the powers of Greyskull and all that stuff, I mean, he basically goes into all his ancestors or whatever the case is of King Greyskull and all that shit. He changes. He physically changes, and
So
he
he's
does get
basically
bigger and whatnot,
Shazam.
Yeah. Captain
see,
Marvel, but
Captain Marvel.
I mean,
Captain Marvel.
in the original mini comics that came with those figures, He-Man was just a barbarian. I don't
That's
think
true.
there was
No.
even an atom.
The powers came from the strappings,
breastplate.
right? And his
Bondage
gear,
gear
basically.
does make you feel more powerful.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. And he actually didn't even use the sword. The sword, which became a big thing with the toys. If you put the two swords together, that was the key to open Greyskull. Skeletor had a piece.
Yeah.
He-Man had a piece. In the books, He-Man gets both pieces and buries that shit. He's like, nobody's getting into this shit because it's like way out there, right? And he used that battle axe. He didn't actually use the sword all that
yeah.
much. It wasn't until later on, where probably right around the time they started doing the cartoon, because all the first run had what's Buddy's name there? Did the comics? I'd have to look it up, but his artwork is superb. Right, he did all the original designs for a lot of stuff and whatnot, and did all these original comics, and they're so good. And his artwork is just beautiful. But before the cartoon came out, there was no Prince Adam. There was none of that. That came later, and then of course, then the little comic books you got with it changed the story. He was Adam, turns to, you know what I mean. And actually, Bruce Timm did a bunch of those back in the day too.
Oh,
He did a few of
you'd be
those.
surprised who worked on those old cartoons.
Yeah, I got a stack of them, and-
Joe Straczynski did some writing. Bruce Timm
Yep.
was on there.
Yep.
Paul Dini did
Yep.
early writing work over
And
there.
they did for the
Paul
cartoon
Dini did
too.
a lot of
Paul Dini
She-Ra.
did. They did a lot of stuff straight for the cartoon, not even just the comics. I mean, Bruce Timm was doing the comics, but Paul Dini and Straczynski and whatnot. They were writing the cartoon. You know what I mean? And remember, this is really only a few more years.
Bruce
before,
Timm's
before
name's
Batman
on
came
those
out.
cartoons too.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
even what is it? That cartoon, the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon.
Yeah.
Some of the most solid.
And this
episodes
isn't
for
even
Paul
a
Dini.
fucking full decade before Batman the Animated Series. So I mean, they built up to, what we got for Batman later on. They built up to that,
Totally
and they
different
really
animation
developed.
styles,
Sure.
though.
They developed, what they were doing. They knew what. By the time they got to Batman, these guys knew what they were doing.
Yeah, well, and
know.
then Joe Straczynski goes on to create
wrote
Babylon
Spider-Man for fucking 10 years.
and
Ah,
Spider-Man,
yes.
and an Oscar-nominated film. So actually, I think it did win Best Screenplay. So I
What's
think
this
he's got a. It was an Angelina Jolie movie, The
Salt?
Changeling.
The Changeling. Oh,
The
yes.
Changeling.
Okay.
Isn't that the one Clint Eastwood directed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking right.
Yeah, and Straczynski wrote that script, and it did win for screenplay, I do believe. So,
Nice.
lofty movement on his career from He-Man.
So was this
Yeah, but I mean-
movie the first post-credit sequence?
do you mean?
No,
Sorry?
No. Remember the stuff?
We've done
Stuff was later.
stuff.
Stuff was
okay,
85. Masters is 87.
Was it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
What are we talking
Okay.
about?
Just there's that goofy bit at the end. So, and I never made this connection. I don't know why, but so when Skeletor,
Oh, he comes back up and I'll be back or
when he
whatever?
gets emperored off the side of the platform down.
Yeah, they
this,
didn't do a
like,
lot of that back
cavern.
then. Now it's fucking every second Marvel movie has them, but
Yeah.
You stay for the credits now, and you're disappointed when you're like, oh,
Nothing
now
at the
they're-
end.
But it was
Apparently,
just credits.
apparently down there it's just like full of runoff.
Yeah,
Just
he
like
just lands in
moisture,
water
lands
because
in
it's
water.
a cartoon. So at
Yeah.
the end of the day, you can't actually kill anybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he comes up.
He
roaring,
finally comes up
but
without the hood, and he looks cool.
and they don't
Yeah.
hold on the scene long enough.
Nope.
It's so fast.
It's so dumb though. He's like, "I'll be back." Like, really? That's what you're gonna say?
I'll be back.
Yeah, let's rip
He
up.
should have come up and gone, "He-Man."
Absolutely. Okay, well, we didn't have to talk a little bit too much about this plot because there isn't a lot of it. It's a chase movie, really.
Yeah,
So I
It's
want to
basically Mad Max.
Yeah, I want to move into our remake because I think we're going to have a lot of fun with this movie. Well, I don't get your Mad Max reference either, but
I know. Where? What?
Let's move into the remake of this film. I have my ideas. I think we're probably
struggled.
going to be honestly when I was thinking about remaking this movie, I wouldn't remake this movie. I would reimagine it. There is no Earth. That's gone.
No,
We've
it would be
never
all on
come to
Eternia.
Earth.
Earth,
Yeah.
100%.
Earth only exists within
Yeah.
the context of the cartoon.
Fuck
and that
Earth.
So
future
his
Earth
mom
actually
comes
had
from
connection.
Earth.
We
That's
now
it.
have
That's
the
it.
technology to make Eternia properly.
actually went
I
a
want to
different way
fucking
with
see
that.
Snake Mountain.
Because I watched the first few episodes of the cartoon after watching this movie
They
while I
didn't-
was thinking
Go ahead.
about it, and they do the episode reveal where He-Man is half human.
Yeah.
And I kind of, when I was thinking of like reimagining the movie, that
screw that.
that the well, no, not even that. That I wanted to kind of like John Carter it a little bit and have He-Man like come from Earth, like in a prophecy, right? So there's a prophecy that the universe will deliver a hero to save them from Skeletor's oppression.
Yeah.
And that he would, like, somehow, whatever bullshit plot device,
So
cosmic
not
storm
John Carter,
or whatever.
just biblical, just straight
Because
up
that went
biblical.
over so well.
Well, whatever, but do, like, a John Carter style...
That she gets there that way.
Yeah, well, no, that He-Man does.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh God! Now I'm more thinking
No,
about this
I don't know.
more than I think this will be a disaster.
because
So it's going to be another sort of, was it Immaculate Conception? Is that what we're going
oh
with?
God!
No.
No.
Just, displaced...
displacement.
Like
yeah,
Superman
like-
in a pod?
No. John Carter gets basically faxed to
Buck
Mars.
Rogers, Flash Gordon.
That's how it happens. If you read the books, he's basically faxed to Mars. There's a body. His body is on Earth, but there's a body of his on Mars. If he dies on Earth,
Yeah.
he dies on Mars.
Oh,
he's
so
just
like
like-
Avatar,
He's,
basically.
like, in a cave. Yeah, but not retarded.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
they,
because Avatar, that's a physical body, and his regular body still exists.
yeah. So same idea. Just it's fucking whatever the mileage is between Earth and Mars, right?
Yeah. The other side of it, so I kind of I liked that idea because then it makes He-Man like, your like impressionable character or whatever, right? Rather than being like a straight alien movie, basically.
I don't know.
I think there's emotional beats you can do with Prince Adam because especially in that 20,
I would have him. I would have him
2002.
as a teenager. If we
Yeah.
are doing
Yes.
Adam,
Yeah,
right?
Because
he's a teenager.
He's lazy. He's an asshole, and he's got to learn to be this hero. There's lessons to be learned, and there's an arc here, and lessons are a big part of what He-Man is.
Yeah,
Especially in those cartoons. There's a lesson every episode.
I would flat out put it on Eternia. Okay.
Yeah.
For sure. I think we're
Whether
all
his
agreed
mom
it's
is from
Eternia, Earth doesn't
or
exist.
not, okay. You don't even need to put that in right away, right? I like the whole mythology of King Greyskull because it gives you that connection of the sorceress, the original sorceress who becomes the Watcher, and then her whole lineage.
Yeah.
Right? So let's say, and this is how Teela was supposed to be born. She was born before
Yeah.
the current sorceress is now with Duncan. And I like that. And so that there's, because Teela is destined to be the next sorceress.
Yeah.
And she
Yes.
will marry He-Man.
Well, the
and
sorcerers-
there's that connection of mythology of, like an orbit or whatever. You just keep coming back around and you keep meeting again at some point. And that's just how this works. So that Adam has this lineage, this crazy lineage to King Greyskull that it's kind of been forgotten. It's now mythology.
Reid, I think you'll agree with me because I just want to do the casting for King Greyskull because I want to do this as
right,
the
King Greyskull.
opening. It's got to be Dolph Lundgren.
That would be cool.
Right?
Absolutely.
You got,
I'm 100%
there's your throwback
for
for King Greyskull.
Absolutely.
He's your King Greyskull. You open your film with the war with the Snake Men and maybe even have Hordak in there as well.
Absolutely.
And you
about the other guy?
open with
And
all
he's like
that
the right age.
mythology
Big guy.
that
You're talking
sets...
about
And then
King Hiss?
No, the head guy.
And this also
Hordak's
sets up King Randor to take that position.
Yeah. I can't remember. It's something Hordak, though. It's like Horde
Prime.
Horde Prime.
Prime. There you
Horde
go.
Prime.
Yeah. But yeah, I would do the whole lineage thing. So you'd have this whole like pre-story kind of thing.
Yeah,
right.
just the
Before
lead
the
up
credits or whatever. Right. To it's like this was the history of Eternia and the wars and all
and
this
you have
shit.
this all
And,
voiced
you know what I mean?
over.
Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
And you'd have like King Greyskull there and in love with the original sorceress and all this stuff. And it all goes back to this fucking kid, right?
Yeah.
And he's this Prince Adam, King Randor's son and whatnot. And him, whatever the case is, gets called or fines or whatever kind of thing. The sword and the stone kind of idea. He gets the sword of fucking power. He has to have some kind of he's taught by Duncan and the sorceress to play the Obi-Wan characters, right? Because there's certain beads in these mythologies that have to go or the story doesn't
And
work.
there's even the smaller emotional points as well, like Teela being raised by Man-at-Arms.
But she doesn't know her mother.
And
they
doesn't
don't
know
all
them
this shit
and
yet,
that's right. And then you've got similar things with Adam. And I would put Aurora in there. Like, at least
Absolutely. Oh, no. That
seed
she got
She-Ra.
kidnapped. Like, so the kids are born, blah, blah, blah.
So-
she gets kidnapped. That's the end of that thing, though. So
And
he has a sister.
Yeah,
but they don't go with that
and
yet in
let's
this first movie.
make that part of his motivations as why he's kind of a dick. Yeah,
maybe.
He's just, it's part of his own issues.
Yeah.
And
maybe,
growing
but
from a
she was
teenager
supposed to be a
into
baby,
adulthood.
though, so he doesn't know. Maybe he doesn't even,
maybe he does not even
he doesn't
aware
even
of
know.
his sister.
And, but they go into all that. Sooner or
wanted
later,
to
they go
do
into
the,
all that. And then, of course, the Keldor shit, with his father and all that stuff, and then kind of mix up.
Keldor is supposed to be Randor's brother.
Yeah, but his dad was like a racist asshole, and he's like, blue people can't rule Eternia. Maybe they go into something like that. Maybe probably not to that. But that make it something more, or maybe there's a history of Keldor, kind of like Loki, right?
This
like,
all plays subtly into
Yeah.
those lessons that the TV show likes to do, but not in a heavy-handed way.
Yeah.
Or
Or
all right,
more
so
heavy-handed.
just so I want to hear everyone's. I know you got a He-Man written there.
Okay, well, I got a lot, but I think most people were probably thinking the same thing. I was thinking Chris Hemsworth in that part because
I went different.
Because he's already done Thor.
Oh, I can't wait to see. Well, that was my big worry, but I couldn't think of anybody else.
Because he's already done Thor.
He's so Thor.
I will disagree.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Mike Hearn.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know who Mike Hearn is,
Holy shit! Yeah.
okay.
Oh, where's he from?
Okay, so this guy was on
This guy's a
that
really
Gladiators
big dude.
fucking TV show, right? He was an original, and he went back when Hulk Hogan started hosting it. Okay, this guy also plays Superman in, I think it's Sandy Calera. Bear with me if I'm wrong, but he did the Batman Dead End short.
Right.
Okay, well, he did a Superman Batman crossover as well, trailer to a movie that was never going to be made.
Oh, I've seen it,
Right.
yeah.
That's Mike Hearn playing Superman.
Oh, wow.
What
So
was
for
his
those who don't
gladiator
know,
name?
This
I don't
guy's-
remember.
this guy
You'd
would
have
be
to look
good.
it up.
Like Blaster or something.
He's
Yeah,
even
kind of thing.
blonde.
But he's big, blonde, blue-eyed. This
And
guy's
built like a
fucking
brick
huge.
shithouse.
He's like 6'3".
Yeah.
He looks like He-Man. And He-Man, you don't need.
I like your choice a lot.
He doesn't. You don't need a big actor for that. Like, you mean you do. He's got to play the role, but I mean it's nothing he can't learn on the go kind of thing. It's like you know because as He-Man, I mean all the emotional shit should be done with Adam, and then really get yourself a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Nazi poster boy. You're good to go. But as long as he can, you get all that, but all the fighting and all that, that He-Man shit. You don't.
Oh,
he's
as a
two-dimensional. You
gladiator,
don't
he had to
need.
do
Yeah,
some
he's-
acting.
you don't need any
that
depth.
really thick
Yeah.
actor yet, and he can learn that as he goes.
Yeah.
So I would go with Mike Hearn as He-Man.
Okay, I'm willing to go to that, but I want to hear. Okay, let's see. Jeff.
I just kind of went some plot points and didn't really think about recasting.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, we'll get into that then, because let's hear your He-Man then.
I went with Jonas Suotamo.
Okay, you're gonna have to explain this one to me.
He is the stand-in for the guy who plays Chewbacca. He's
Peter Mayhew?
Peter Mayhew. He's
Oh,
6'10",
shit.
Finnish, blonde, blue-eyed.
I think he's too big.
Yeah, I think it's 6'10".
No, I
though.
love
That
it.
becomes
He's
hard.
6'10".
I think 6'10", though. I mean, he becomes.
I'd make him Beast Man.
Yeah, like I mean, that's where you start.
Oh, but everybody
putting him
else
in
I
certain
have is
characters.
huge.
I actually-
like the shortest person I have is 6'3".
Really?
Holy Christ!
Yeah, no, that makes sense though. I mean,
Yeah,
Eternia, they're huge.
Yeah.
like I think if He-Man came
Bigger than
down,
life.
6'3" is
Like-
like that's the minimum of what he would have to
Yeah.
be.
And like I think he's like a youthful looking kid, which I like the idea of
Yeah.
having him. Like
Yeah.
you could put him in like
Now-
a Prince Adam suit.
I think Adam
And
should
have
be youthful.
him-
He-Man should have.
I think Adam should be a different character. I couldn't come up with my Prince Adam, but I think it should be a different actor.
It'd be a kid.
Somebody who could at least plausibly grow into what He-Man would look like.
This guy's gonna be
You
Yeah.
can get really tall and spindly.
I
If you think
he-
about
I
it.
think he should be like about 17.
Maybe that
16.
fucking kid
Get
from
Game
who's
of
that-
Thrones.
Well, no. What's that fucking kid
Maybe.
from?
Maybe.
God, no. That what's his face? He's playing Ragnar's son in Vikings.
I
right
haven't
now,
seen it, but-
right?
I haven't seen
Okay, for
Vikings yet.
those who are
I'll go
listening
with
and they've
you.
seen it, you just look it up or whatever. He's a good-looking kid, square-jawed, young kid. I mean, he's in his early 20s right now.
But could play
if
young.
that. But I mean, yeah, you could probably play younger.
Okay.
Maybe Adam's a
Might-
little bit bigger.
that might
Who
be a
knows,
decent
right?
choice, yeah.
I don't know, but actually, he's probably even too old now. But
I the way I picture this movie, he's kind of coming of age as well.
I would say like 17. He should be
that's
around
kind
that
of part of that
17-year-old,
story
15
anyway.
to 17. So should Tila. Tila should be
Yeah.
a kid too.
I felt Tila could be slightly older, but yeah, I actually went. Where's my Tila?
I made my people older.
My
I
Tila
didn't do
was
anything smaller.
Alexandra Daddario from Percy Jackson in San Andreas.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she's good.
I'd pick her for Wonder Woman. Actually, that's who I actually would have picked for Wonder Woman.
She'd be
Her.
great Wonder Woman too.
Oh, she totally would have.
be
Or anyway, doesn't
Yeah.
totally different
She's
thing.
good naturally.
But again, you got a brunette
Okay.
though. I want a redhead. You got to
Let-
fucking.
Wait, the hair can be changed.
You've heard
right?
of hair dye, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But
So But I'll just go through my entire cast because I probably got more than anybody else. Okay, my Skeletor I had as Michael Shannon because I really was actually impressed with him as a villain in Man of Steel, despite Man of Steel being a shitty film.
Hey, Man of Steel I enjoyed Man of Steel.
I think he's really good in
But
it.
he plays a good villain too.
Yeah, I had Robert Millay as my Beastman.
He's that type of actor that
Just
can
really
say
gigantic.
those stupid lines. He can say stupid shit.
Sure. My Man-at-Arms is Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Oh, yeah.
I'm cool with that.
Thank you.
That.
Thank you.
That's a good
like
pick.
that.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan was the comedian in Watchmen.
Okay,
He's in tons of shit, but
Yeah.
he'd be a good Man-at-Arms.
Like,
Okay.
he's a tall, kind of stocky. He's good.
My Evil Lynn was Ava Green.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You know?
That I would go with. Absolutely, Eva Green.
Andrew Pleven, who probably most of you don't know, he was in 300. I had him as Triclops. I started just like, I
Picking
need big guys with big abs.
Who was he in 300?
I didn't write down who he was, but
He was the guy with the abs.
he was the guy with the abs.
Oh, okay, that clears
Actually,
it up.
I think he's bald in it too. So I had Dustin Clare as Trapjaw. He played Gannicus in Spartacus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't get to Hordak, but I wanted him in this movie, and I had Mads Mikkelsen as King Hiss.
Oh,
I
yeah.
wanted just guys who are really great villains.
Mads is magical.
Okay, this is just for you. I had to cast Ram Man.
I was going to say, no Ram
Michael
Man.
Chiklis.
Will Sasso, but I'd go with Chiklis as well. I just wanted somebody.
Sasso?
Chiklis just isn't big enough for me.
Ram Man doesn't need to be that big.
I wanted somebody
I think
who
he
was
should be
large.
big,
Okay, who's
large.
this
and
guy?
still could do
Who's
funny.
comedy?
Who's
Yeah,
still
Will
could do
Sasso's
funny.
great.
Who's this other guy?
Will Sasso?
He's a comedian. He was on Mad TV.
He
He's
was
about
Curly in the Three
6-something.
Stooges movie.
Oh, okay.
But
I
he
know
was
what you're talking about.
also-
Yeah, I know exactly what
He
you're
also
talking
had
about.
a small part in the Corner Gas movie.
Yeah, no, like I think he'd be a great Ram Man
Good
because he's
Canadian
not
guy.
overly fit, but he's a big guy.
I was thinking about
yeah.
Skeletor,
I get it. I
right?
totally get it.
And I was having a hard time casting him, but I picked actually two actors. I would pick Doug Jones,
okay,
because that way you could do a very
big
wiry makeup with ribs sticking out and like really make Skeletor have a look with Jeremy Irons' voice.
Oh, I could get behind that. I cast my sorceress, and sorceress never seems to age unless it's this
she
movie.
doesn't. But she's got to look a lot like Tila. So
And I went with Olivia Wilde.
Yep.
Nice.
You could just put her in anything.
Yeah, and that's just it. I
And
will
given
if
who
I
your
can.
Tila is-
I will if I can. And my Tila was Alexandra Daddario, so there's enough that I think
they
could
look similar enough to be fine.
plausibly be related. I cast King Randor as Gerald Butler.
Gerard Butler?
Yeah.
Butler, nice.
Gerard Butler. And
So he's Scottish. King Randor is a Scot. I'm okay with
only
that.
if he doesn't cover up the accent, but I'm
He
okay
can't
with that.
cover up his accent.
I'd
He has
prefer.
I've yet to
tried.
see him trying. I know he
That's true.
tries, but he's
tried and
fucking
failed.
horrible at it.
And of course,
I'm okay with that.
Of course, we need Dolph Lundgren in this movie, and that's
King Greyskull.
we're
For
sure.
King Greyskull in our opening sequence. I have Princess Adora cast, even though we got the young who turns into She-Ra later on. I just want to establish her, and I had a
that's
tough
just a
time.
baby, though.
But I went with Anna Sophia Robb. She was in Bridge of Terabithia and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Okay,
Well,
but
she
how
was-
old is
she
she
was-
now?
what does
She look like now, though.
She's still she'd be a little older than
Because
I
like Charlie
think.
and Chocolate Factory is
She's like my
2005.
kid's age.
I
dude.
didn't
She's my
realize
kid's age.
that
She's
She-Ra
like
was a lot
17.
younger than she'd be about that, but I didn't realize how much the age difference was
See, that's
between
so
Adam
hard
and her.
about
So
casting kids.
I actually was going to have them a little
Well, they
closer in
grew-
age.
yeah.
And then I had Laura Vandervoot as She-Ra, just because the hot blonde. I
Laura
couldn't think of
Vandervoot,
anybody.
who's
She was
she
Supergirl.
from?
Smallville.
That was again
you know
for
what?
Jeff.
I would have to disagree on that one. Not that I think she's a
I had a
shitty
tough
actress,
time with
but
that
she's such
one.
a slender. She looks like Supergirl, right? And to me, She-Ra doesn't. I mean,
She's gotta be stockier.
I was trying to
as
find somebody
Adora,
a little fitter, but
Laura Vandervoot,
you
no
could
problem.
totally have your actor hit the gym. Like
Yeah.
we've
Yeah.
not a big
Yeah,
deal.
yeah. I mean, because that worked for Gail Gadot, right?
Yeah, it did.
Still not big.
Yeah, it
She's
did.
still fucking skinny as
Oh,
fuck. The armor
fuck,
looks great.
she looks
it looks
hot as hell.
She looks good.
She's still slender.
But she's too slender.
She doesn't
That's
look.
why I'd pick
she
this-
doesn't look Fast and Furious slender. She
Yeah,
No,
I'd pick
but
what's
she
her
ate
name?
some
Daddario? I'd pick
cheeseburgers.
her.
She still looks spindly for Wonder Woman. I'm sorry.
does.
She
Yeah,
does.
she looks too
I
skinny.
love it. I love
But
it.
I love the
her
armor.
a
The
lot.
armor looks great, and the fact that I got to see the Trinity standing there, all fucking like, it looked fucking deadly in that trailer. So
Yeah.
I'm going with that.
I am looking forward to a portrayal. Like I say, I'm not happy with the look, but
Let's see
I'm
what
looking forward
happens.
to a
Okay,
portrayal.
let's get to some more cast.
You want to go first?
I had He-Man and Skeletor, man. I guess Orko. I mean, you'd get a voice, right? And it'd
I
be,
knew I had an Orko voice.
Who's your Orko voice?
Paul Rubens.
Nice.
Hey, I had my Orko voice. And,
I love my Orko voice.
And I would because
I'm so proud of
because
that.
he's CG'd anyway. It's going to be Gabe Kuth from the 2002 cartoon. I would
How about
just
John
go with
Leguizamo?
him. I mean, otherwise, I'd say Lou Scheimer, but he's dead.
Why not? He'd be fun, right? Leave Schreiber.
No, Lou Scheimer. He was the
Oh
original.
yeah, thank you.
Orko.
That threw me too.
Lou
Schreiber. He's fucking pretty husky for Orko, isn't he? Hey guys,
Lou Scheimer was
watch me do my magic.
Yeah, he was the original Orko voice, but
Okay.
he's just passed away. So
What about John Leguizamo?
yeah, actually, I
could
like
see
that.
'cause
I
he
always
would be
imagine him
funny.
as Sid every time.
And
Well, that's it.
he likes to play characters a lot shorter than he is and
Yeah.
be on his knees a lot. So maybe there'd be practical
Well,
effects at that
There,
point.
there might be a reason
I
there.
wouldn't put him in as practical effects.
No.
But but as Orko's voice, yeah, I could see John Leguizamo. I was
Yeah,
thinking
totally.
of that last
That'd be a
night.
good voice. I like that. I like that a lot.
See, and I went with a different thing. Like other people were saying, like we know that Tila is the sorceress's daughter,
Now,
but I'm like, I don't think they have to look exactly the same.
Orko would
No,
have
but they should
very
look
small
related.
scenes in
and that's
our
what always
movie.
irritates me is when you're watching a movie and you got like the father and the son or whatever, and they don't look closely resembling. And there was bad
I
for
would
that
put
shit
Orko
the 80s.
in small scenes, but let's face it, he is our Jar Jar, so you don't give him a lot of screen time.
You know what? I don't mind Orko.
He is watching the cartoon last night.
He
he's
is fucking Jar Jar.
He is, but he's
So-
not as annoying as Jar Jar. Like it's
Yeah.
not like that fucking thing in Thundercats.
you
That
put him
thing
in-
was annoying.
Snarf.
Where Orko, you know, what I mean,
Yeah.
you know, if they play him right, like don't play him out the way they did. The cartoon is supposed to be silly, right? Don't play him out that way. Play him, you know, he's a funny character. Like I said, John Leguizamo would know what to do. He'll figure this shit out. Like he'll be like, all right, I got an idea, you know, and he'd voice him out, but he'd be like, you know, a little bit of a shithead. But he'd be like pivotal, you know what I mean? Like he'd make it so that this character is important.
Yeah,
you know?
I was thinking playing
without
him back,
being
but
overly
yeah.
silly, you know.
You got he's a character you got to be very careful with. 'cause
Yeah, you
he
do.
can turn into rabid fan hatred really quickly.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All
Trash.
right, so me, okay.
I like, and I was making my list. And I'm like, okay, I had Manny faces. And I'm like, fuck off. I'm not going through all this, but I want all of these characters there.
Well, Manny
Yeah.
faces, you'd only need one actor because everything
Mechaneck.
else is makeup.
Yeah, Mechaneck.
Yeah.
I want all of these characters there, but I just couldn't get into casting them all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, so I went a little differently with this. I like you say, I got my He-Man, but I know I like him big. That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I think he could do like you dress him right. He could look spindly, and then you take off everything. He could be built up. It'd be fine.
Yeah.
So, like I say, Orko, my voice was Paul Rubens.
Right.
I just like that bit. Okay, for the sorceress, I went with Julianne Moore.
Nice.
Because she's already proven she kind of wants to do this. Like the Seventh Son showed you that she kind of would be in for this like fantastical
Yeah.
weird stuff, and she'll do it.
She is. I'm just worried about her being a little old for this at this point because, I mean, if you're doing one He-Man movie, you're doing sequels. I mean,
Yeah.
especially nowadays. So,
But I never
not that I've
pictured-
disagreed. Like she, you know, back in the day, fucking right,
Yeah.
she'd been awesome as sorceress. But as like I said, I mean, you're looking at no matter what you do a movie, think of franchise. When you're doing that, find yourself actors that
But
are going to
see,
be able to.
I'm thinking, here's my thoughts when I was thinking about this. The sorceress, to me, is not a youthful character. I want her older because throughout, like when you talked about trilogies, that made me think, I'm like, I want one of those movies to be when Tila takes over as a sorceress. So I don't need her for all these movies.
But that's the thing. You can do that with makeup. Get her older as with makeup, right? And I would do that because
But
that would
always
seem like
looks
her time is almost
That
done.
always looks bad. Think
know?
of all the characters you've seen with like the age makeup. That doesn't
Depends
always
who's
come
doing
off.
the makeup. That all depends on who you get for makeup. I mean, like Dick Smith. I mean, he made fucking in The Exorcist. There, fuck is the actor's name? Come on, he's a Viking.
I don't know.
The Exorcist. Max von Sydow.
yeah.
He looked like he was 80 then. He looks that now. He looks exactly like he looks in The
If I
Exorcist.
could have figured out how to
40
put him
years
in
ago.
our remake,
Yeah,
I would
but
have.
he already
know?
looked old at the time.
Yeah.
You know? Well, no, he didn't. That was Dick Smith. You look at a picture of him, he looks way different. That was all Dick Smith. You just need the right makeup artist that knows how to do age makeups. And
Like, how long
know,
do you think we're going to go between movies? Like 10 years? I don't think so.
No.
Julianne Moore's going to be fine in that time.
You know how many people? Yeah, but how many times you watch a movie? Watch X-Men. Watch the X-Men movies, right?
Okay.
Look at Hugh Jackman in the first one, and now look at Hugh Jackman now, and it's been like 15 years. You know, they didn't think they were doing 15 years worth of fucking Wolverine, but he did it. But look at him; he looks. It's night and day
but
different.
we're
Like you
not
don't think
doing
about it.
we're not doing
We
15
don't know
years
that.
for this.
We don't know that. That's what I'm just saying. I'm not disagreeing with you. I think.
But
Julianne
like I
Moore
say,
would
I'm
be a
doing
great
further
sorceress,
casting. In the future,
but-
she's not going to be the one who's
You know.
who's the sorceress.
Maybe.
Like that Tila is going to be taking over.
Yeah.
Like you just have to write it so when you think it's over,
Yeah.
she doesn't have to play that part again.
Well, I mean, you set it up with Tila, but I mean, I think even that is a third film idea.
But Julianne Moore, definitely, I'm sticking with that. Which led me to my Tila, which would be Karen Gillan.
Who?
Karen Gillan.
I love me some Karen
that?
Gillan.
Doctor Who companion. She was also, what was it? Who was she in Masters in
She was
Guardians
also
of the Galaxy?
Oculus,
Oh, Nebula?
Nebula.
Yeah, she's Nebula.
And she was starred in
she's
Oculus.
redhead.
So your He-Man, she's going to be half the size of He-Man.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
For Tila?
I love my He-Man. For Tila. And then my Evelyn, I went a different way. I went slightly older. Rona Mitra. Are you aware of who she is? She was the basis for Laura Croft. She's a British actress. So she's a little bit older, but that's
Okay.
how I want my Evelyn. I don't
Yeah,
want her
I think
young.
Evelyn should be a little older. Because I don't...
Well, she should be Randor's and Skeletor's age.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
So I agree
Yeah.
with that. Like, she should be about their age. So it's like, it should be like an aunt. You know what I mean? But unless, I have
Man-at-Arms as Liam Neeson.
Ah, nice.
Liam Neeson in I'd watch a movie called Liam Neeson, and I would go to it.
I know. But plus I think he's old enough to be the older father of, like, Tila. Like, he's got
Totally,
the
yeah.
age.
He's got the age
I have to make
difference,
the... And then Skeletor, I went a different way. Have you heard of Kevin Durant?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
who
he's
I
a Canadian
want.
actor.
Yeah.
He played the Blob in Wolverine.
Yeah.
The first Wolverine movie, he plays the Blob.
He's a fairly
He's
tall,
in
imposing
tons
guy.
of shit, man. He's always an asshole, and he's always a bad guy. Oh, he's Little John in that fucking Scott Robin Hood movie.
Oh, I haven't
Yeah.
seen that either.
See, like, he just seems like
It's funny because they later on there's that fucking show in the East there. It's a CBC show. It's detective in Newfoundland or whatever, right?
Republic of Doyle.
There we go. So the whole crew of Robin Hood is in there.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Russell Crowe, they all are in this because half the actors, they're all Canadians, right?
Yeah.
And so they're all in this Republic of Doyle. So to bring in Russell Crowe was really not much
I
of a
think
stretch.
he just showed up.
Yeah,
Like,
because they're
like-
all buddies, right? And Alan Adale is what's his face from Great Big Sea and so on and so forth.
Okay.
So they had the whole, like the four main guys from Robin Hood in this particular Robin Hood movie in Republic of Doyle, which was kind of cool.
For
Yeah.
Skeletor, I kind of went the same way as you. I thought that Skeletor should be a lot more menacing than maybe even like a prosthetic suit could get by.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe having Circus or somebody do mocap for him.
Yeah.
And have this like really, really crazy menacing
Yeah.
He-Man, and then pick somebody with a really good voice. And
That's what I was thinking. I was
we're
like,
losing all those guys
because
and,
I love practical effects, and you can do Skeletor with makeup. I mean, it's and so if you're going to do that, you get the best guy for the job, which is Doug Jones, and he's skinny enough and tall enough because he's like
for
6'5". I met the guy; he's nice as hell, right?
Oh, yeah.
But he can play these makeup roles. And
he gave me a really drunk hug one time at a bar. It was awesome.
I bet he did. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
He's actually got a great voice too. Like
He does, but
I
he
hated
sounds
that he
like-
got overdubbed.
Yeah, he sounds like David Hyde Pierce. So let's get David Hyde Pierce to voice him out in Hellboy.
Well,
but he sounds like him.
When they let him do his own voice in the second one, I'm like,
He was
that
just-
actually was a more convincing Abe Sapien
Yeah.
to
But
me.
whatever the case is, it didn't sound all that different from what we were already getting.
That's what I was
So,
thinking is
you
like
know,
when Doug Jones was doing because when
he did the cartoons.
yeah because
Yeah.
when we met Doug Jones would have been the same year they hadn't done Golden Army
Yeah.
and he was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do the whole thing, I'm gonna do the suit and I'm gonna do the voice, everything, so he's gonna be Abe. And I was like, awesome.
Yeah.
And Doug is such a cool guy that you're like, yeah, this is gonna be so rad. And then he does his great like physical acting, and then he does a David Hyde Pierce impersonation. Like,
Yeah.
straight
well,
up.
he sounds like him anyway. Like I
A
said,
little-
the voice
a
isn't
little
all
bit.
that different, and it's just like, why would you guys voice him over in the first one? Like that was something that
I think they were maybe trying to go
blew
for
me
some star
blew me
power.
away, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably,
Yeah.
'Cause
probably.
David Hyde Pierce was like,
He's
sort
a
of-
name.
But then
had a
when they did the
revival.
cartoons, and it's like Doug Jones is the voice,
Yeah.
and you're listening to it, it's like this sounds just like David Hyde
you,
Pierce. Like,
you
why would they
actually
voice
think
him?
about the casting of that at the time. Not everybody was like. There wasn't a lot of
Ron Perlman's not. No, he's not a big
selling
name.
name
He's,
though.
You know,
So and they were coming
Well,
off.
neither was what's her face.
Selma Blair.
You know,
he was a
she
little
was-
bit. I mean,
a
if you were
little
coming
bit,
from
but
the
she also-
teenage
but she wasn't a-
angst movies or whatever, she was doing.
Yeah,
those
but are
kind of
they
things.
going to see Hellboy?
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
But,
Well, that's the thing,
you
though. When
know,
you pop her name up, now you're trying to get that.
Pierce was still
particular
kind of
audience.
hot at the time because
Frasier was still on.
Frasier was just finishing up. I think
it was
at
just
the time.
finishing up. So like, there's a name that was still in people's
For sure.
minds.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's all that was about.
But yeah, so that being said, I would get Doug
And-
Jones,
and
and not that Doug Jones
John Hurt?
couldn't probably do the voice, he probably could, but to have someone like Jeremy Irons, like he's got such a voice and
super
whatnot.
evil, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this is the guy, he's Scar in The Lion King. No matter what, he's fucking sounds menacing, and he's British. So I mean, all British.
I think it's
people are
always
menacing.
awkward when you're
Yeah.
getting somebody else overdubbing another actor.
It is. But if
bugs
it's
me.
done well,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like Darth Vader, right? I mean, right there, right? If it's done well,
Yeah.
it's awesome. But yeah, I would do that. And just so you could have
And
this
it's not
really
like they have to
creepy
match
looking
lips with
Skeletor.
Skeletor.
No, you really don't.
True.
Nah, 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 nah.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could have like bones protruding a little bit, and you know he's a little bit more wiry, and maybe some spurs out of his fucking elbows, and just give him
Yeah,
this
but that's
look
not
that would be just
Skeletor.
That's
cool.
not
It is.
Skeletor.
It
It's
is to me.
supposed to be his face.
You know,
And, like,
but
It's
if you
just,
look at
it's,
if you
yeah,
look
he
at
was he was disfigured.
yeah,
if you
he's
look at all the
disfigured.
figurines and some of the, especially some of these, like look online here, and it's like Skeletor statues or He-Man statues, they're done up, and it's just like the way you've always imagined it in your head, but you're never going to get out of the cartoon. Skeletor should have a look to him, and if you originally he had like fins on his fucking figurine and shit, and he had like just little things sticking out where
The claw feet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean.
claw
You'd
feet
have
should be
these
there.
claw feet, and you'd have these like these long, fucking freaky looking fingers with
And
long nails,
he does
and
have long claws. I noticed that.
he
in the
does.
cartoon,
He
like,
does.
The
compared to
claws should
everybody
be there.
else.
The
he
hands
does,
have to
and
be
that's what I
done
mean. Like
properly.
just certain things, not like
Yeah, they
bones
should
sticking
have
out.
the
I'm talking like
mutations.
you'd see his collarbone would be much more protruding.
Yeah.
He'd be more. What's the word?
He'd just basically be Baron Dark from Skeleton Warriors.
Yeah, well, with skin, but I mean,
Yeah.
emaciated. That's what you want, more emaciated. And unfortunately, to do that, emaciated. Thank you. Unfortunately, to do that, you actually have to build bigger, right?
Which
and,
would work
and,
because
and it does
Skeletor's a
work.
big dude, like-
and well, that's the thing. So you get all that extra muscle on Doug Jones's frame, right? But yet still look emaciated because of Doug Jones's frame, And so I think Skeletor would look fucking like creepy, and you could really have some really fun design, makeup wise, some really nice design, aspects of it. And then of course, you could have more with the face and really, do some stuff. And if you had to highlight it with a little bit of computer effects, you could do that, and then have Jeremy Irons' voice come out there, and it'd be just like, this is the most menacing
Now
motherfucker ever.
I think we when you were dealing with the He-Man movie, we also have to define Eternia and the realms. Like,
Yes.
we kind of know, everybody's seen the cartoon. We know what Eternia is going to look like. It looks like a kind of an old-fashioned kingdom. I mean, Greyskull should look like Greyskull, and Snake Mountain should look like Snake Mountain with the lava and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those are very important locales. But I want to see, even if they're small glimpses, I want to see more defined world and the realms within it. I want to see where Stratos comes from, and why the technology differences are.
Well, story-wise, I want part of it to be a journey between parts of Eternia, so you will see bits of this.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, and I was
do the
thinking of that
hero's
last
journey.
night, and it's like, well, you'd have, like I said, we're saying, well, you could use places like New Mexico, you could use places like New Zealand, of course. I mean, fuck,
sure.
you want
Or
something
Canada.
cool, you could use Canada. You could use, let's say you don't even want to leave the country, okay? They want to film it in the States to save money or some bullshit. Well, then, yeah, you could use New Mexico and some of the deserts and Hawaii for jungles, and you know what I mean? You have
Some of
enough
the forested
landscape to
areas
do that.
the Northwest.
Absolutely, or the fucking the redwoods in California.
redwoods,
You could utilize all that and do that and budget. Given if we have the budget,
even
play with
failing that, you could do the whole green screen style that 300 did and paint your canvas that way too.
I maybe
I don't know if I'd
scenes,
want
I mean
to,
Castle
but-
Greyskull would definitely be like that.
Yeah.
and really
Yeah.
have like
Yeah.
this looming beautiful. Well, I mean nowadays digital
Greyskull and
painting.
Snake Mountain
Yeah.
for sure,
For
but
sure.
other areas I'd say
or
do practical
or
areas.
miniatures.
We have some amazing
I'd
locales
build
on this
miniatures
planet.
of
Oh yeah, of the castle and the
Snake Mountain and Castle Greyskull. I mean, do the Lord of the Rings, what they did. I mean, they had it all in miniatures and shit. You have Snake Mountain with this black fucking shit.
Oh,
and
I want a battle.
Sometimes they construct most beautiful things.
Absolutely, shards of rock, and you could really have Snake Mountain look really, really cool, and you could have really, of course, Greyskull looking really cool.
I need a battle cat like badly.
Battle cat has to be in there.
Huge battle cat.
Now, does he talk as Cringer?
No.
No, you don't want the cowardly cat?
Well, I mean, you
maybe
could
the cowardly cat beforehand, but not talk.
You could do that without having him talk. Like you've got to ground this a little bit to make it plausible for kids and adults.
Yeah.
You know, like it should be somewhere in that middle ground. So like Cringer shouldn't talk, but should still have certain Cringer aspects to him. Like so he's still the character. Yeah.
So scared.
And I'm okay with that. Like, just, the animals don't need to talk. That's fine.
Fair enough. No, I actually agree with you. Cringer shouldn't talk. Like I said, it's
Skeletor's
same
cat
thing as,
never talks.
No. And that'd be cool. That's one thing. You only see Skeletor's cat a couple of times in the cartoon. If you look back, he's only in there a few times.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I would like to see like this big, massive fucking cats going at it and shit.
Yeah.
That'd be
You'd have to have a battle scene with those.
Absolutely.
Great cat fight, man.
But yeah, I mean, same thing with the Hulk. I mean, Hulk never really works if you get him talking, and I think they learned that in the TV series. So I'm kind of glad they never have, other than just a few words, like out of the blue, he's just like Hulk smash.
Yeah, you got to have that
same kind of idea. That's what I would do with the cats as well. I mean, he wouldn't talk, but I mean, when he's riding him, it'd be this massive fucking thing, man. Like, and I'd love to see the sculpt of that thing.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. They're one of those dogs, or whatever, right? Yeah.
Like, I mean, that would look so amazing on screen.
Yeah.
Even though
Should
it's
just
all
hire
CG.
Weta to do all of it.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah.
I'd be Weta can do some of it. Okay?
Or as we like to do, the guys that Guillermo uses all the time.
Oh, for sure.
Like
Guillermo or Weta.
Yeah.
Either or.
Whoever Guillermo's people are. Actually, speaking of, we never talked about directors. For our film, I had a tough time on this one, and I didn't want to go back to my usual well. I actually went with Andrew Adamson from Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah, he knows how to do all that.
It's a similar level.
He was very into traditional shit too. Like he was into practical effects before. And we were mentioning Guillermo and whatnot. I mean, Guillermo would be kind of neat. Would be neat to do it, but I mean, I think it would be way off from what you want, you know what I mean? Like, he'd just take it and just off into this whole other thing, and I think Burton is the same kind of thing, right?
I just have Tim Burton direct it, and then it would just be a character piece on Skeletor.
Yeah, basically, the whole thing is just around Skeletor, but Snake Mountain would look cool.
Yeah. Why doesn't anybody love me? Yeah.
See, like the interiors, the Gothic interiors you could do with that would be amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
Aronofsky, maybe?
Who's the one who
I
did?
don't know.
Who's the guy who does like 9 or 8
need.
millimeters and Cloverfield and all that shit? Who did those? Abrams did Cloverfield.
Yeah, JJ.
Fuck JJ. I don't want JJ. JJ
no, I don't
does
want
too
JJ.
much. Fuck that guy.
Well, there's actually a reboot currently being talked about right now.
Talking about one. And they were talking about Mike Kern as well too.
Yeah, right now it is Jeff Wadlow set to direct with the script by Chris Yost, which I think it's fantastic. Chris Yost has got a long legacy of writing animation, specifically X-Men. He did a lot of X-Men cartoons, and he's written a lot of stuff for Marvel. So I think he's probably got a good idea of how this world should work.
Who's the director?
Now Jeff Wadlow, I don't know, so I'm just clicking on the name here right now. And
Zack Snyder. I'd take Zack Snyder.
Oh, he did Kick-Ass too.
That'd be fucking
nice.
awesome.
Yeah.
Do you wonder if, like, sometimes, like, they're talking about redoing all these movies, the studios are like, okay, I don't want to keep going back to the same well, guys. Like, they're struggling the way we're struggling to find directors.
Well,
we need a new guy because we've already got these guys making other movies.
We could go back and use, like, Coppola, you know what I mean? Would he do it? Because Francis Ford Coppola would probably come up with a wicked fucking movie.
Totally.
No matter what. I mean, visually, look at Dracula. Visually, that thing was fucking stunning. You can say whatever you guys want about Bram Stoker's Dracula, and it's kind of a boring movie, but at the same time, it is visually fucking stunning.
Yeah.
And
it's good, but it's visually beautiful. It's photographed wonderfully, but when you kind of rewatch it, you know how they said you can write it, but you can't speak it. I saw that. I
Some
saw
of
that a lot.
You find that? I don't know. I
cringed
that's
a
one I
lot
can
of
watch a
stuff
lot.
when I rewatched it
Yeah,
again.
I can watch that one actually a few times.
I still think it's a
Hopeless
gothic
Dracula?
map.
Yeah, I love it.
That movie's great.
Oh no,
Yeah,
it's
it's a
beautiful to
gothic
look at. I'm not
masterpiece.
denying that.
And I love
I'm just
Gary
saying
Oldman. Like,
a
Gary
lot of
Oldman
the
is by
script
far-
just makes me fucking cringe.
Actually, he might be a wicked voice for Skeletor too. Gary Oldman, who is by far
What
my
couldn't he do?
favorite fucking
I know.
actor.
What couldn't he do?
Yeah, he is. He's by far my favorite actor, and because he can do everything, and you know, I mean, I don't know how many Oscars he's got under his belt, but it's not enough. You know, that's how good he is.
Well, you guys at home can always be part of this conversation as well. You can join us on Twitter, and we are at Invasion Remake on Twitter. We're also on Facebook, Invasion of the Remake on Facebook, and of course you can email us at invasionoftheremake@gmail.com. And if you guys want to support the show, the best thing you can do is
Rate, review, and subscribe.
Well, rate, review, and subscribe. But tell 5 friends. Tell 5 friends you love this show, and then get them to tell their friends, and so on. In fact, make it 10. Make it your goal to do 10.
Do 10
Even
friends.
if you don't know 10 people. Tell that good dude you just passed on the street, this podcast rocks.
Yeah.
And
But make sure
that's-
you grab him out of nowhere.
That's right.
Mister.
No.
Don't threaten his children.
No. Grab them, say, I'm you from the future. Tell them that they must listen to this podcast, and then run away.
The fate of the world depends on it, and step out in front of him.
Yeah, do that.
That is the best that you could do for us, and then please tell me about that. That would be amazing. So, and then, and once you tell them about the podcast, tell them to rate, review, and subscribe. Just give us 5 stars on iTunes, and write a little
'Cause we
blurb
deserve
if you
it,
can.
guys.
We do.
We do.
We give you like up to 8 hours of free content a month. Come on, just throw us that little bone, all right?
Exactly. We watch these for you.
That's right, and sometimes it's awfully painful. We actually probably, I think we can all agree, we enjoyed this version of He-Man, even though it's not the version I think we
It's
want.
it's still He-Man. No
It's
matter
still
what. If you grew
fun.
up with it, it was.
It's
It's
not
an
a-
enjoyable romp.
We've had much
Yeah.
more painful movies we've done.
Oh, good God, yes.
That's
so-
why they only ask me in on the good ones, because I'm not watching up this painful shit.
Oh, I thought
seen
He-Man,
enough
and I'm like,
painful
I've
shit.
seen your He-Man collections.
My He-Man collection is awesome.
So, yeah, I think that's it for this show. Join us next week. We're going to hit a controversial topic. We're going to do Star Wars A New Hope and Star Wars A Force Awakens. So be aware, they're going to be
What are we
spoilers.
doing? We bitching about it, or what are we doing?
No.
It's the concept of
do you
remakes
mean
within
we?
sequels.
I can see
Yes.
that.
Which
All
we
right.
touched on with Evil Dead.
I am
All right,
Yes.
throw me in on this one. I want
I
in on
am
this one.
coining the term. I don't have another chair for this one, though. It's
Remakes within
join the
sequels.
line.
It's the
I don't know,
film turducken.
I've got some bitching to do.
I am going to state this right now. I am coining the term stealth remake, and we will talk about that next week on Invasion of the Remake. I'm Jason.
I'm Jeff, and I gotta say, guys, at the end of this podcast, don't say goodbye. Say good journey.
Good journey.
Good journey.
Good journey.
Good journey.
All right, good journey, guys. I've been Trish.
Take care of yourselves, guys. I'm Reid.
Reid, before we go, tell anybody how to get a hold of you, how to check out your artwork and stuff.
Well, if I ever get my head out of my ass, we will have a site online, but you can find us on Facebook. Instagram, I think it's Reid Fisher 2. I don't know, or sorry, no, that'd be Twitter, Reid Fisher 2. Instagram, you can find Ravencrow Inc. Type in INK in capital letters. Ravencrow is one word. But you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. And yeah, you'll see some of my makeups. I was one of the makeup artists on One Hit Die Season 2, Legend of the Lich Lord, as well as we just finished a few shorts, one called Lost Face, which should be out sometime this year, with Gerald Auger as our actor, and I just did another one called Don't Walk with the Dead, and so but yeah, you'll get to see all the makeups and whatnot, and as the movies get posted, I can post those makeups. So if you're hey, I want to see what this is, you'll see it as when the movies come out or whatever, when I'm allowed to do stuff. Otherwise I get in trouble, But other than that, yeah, and then we have some comic books out, and I did sketch cards for Marvel, which I'm pretty sure you can find all over eBay at this point for probably next to nothing. But
More than you got paid for them.
more than I got paid for. I got paid jack shit, and Jack left town. But yeah, so but yeah, no, yeah, Ravencrow Inc. Ravencrow is one word, INK. in capital letters. You can find us on Facebook and whatnot. Should be one of those community pages or whatever. Don't join the group page. I don't know how to disconnect that, but yeah, there should be a community wherever you get to see all the new stuff coming out and whatever. I'm getting ready for comic shows, either here, Calgary, Edmonton, Saskatoon or Regina or whatever, and then sooner or later, one of these, hopefully maybe this year, we'll see I'll break into the States and try and do some of the shows down there. It's all depends on cost and whatnot. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, man. And yeah, we're out of here.
Bye.
He-Man.